Hello, everyone. Welcome. Look at this gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous day out there. I mean, this looks a lot better than Monday's attempt for Flight 8 of Starship, which, of course, I have to say this every time, is the world's largest, most powerful rocket ever built and flown. So, yeah, it's the second launch attempt. We haven't had. Think about it, guys. Since Flight 1, I don't think we've had a full reset like this. We've had scrubs like inside the launch window, but this is actually the first like full scrub we've seen since Flight 1. And so it brings us back to the old days of like watching rockets, then going, oh, I'm getting disappointed and having to, restart it and everything. So this feels really, really good just to, get in here and just enjoy rocket watching. Yeah. Doesn't it? So, as you guys know, like I said, world's largest, most powerful rocket ever flying. This test today hopefully will go a lot better than Flight 7, which had a RUD with the new Starship, with the version 2 Starship. So that's the big thing that we're paying attention to here today. Obviously, hopefully we get another booster catch, and hopefully we see some Starlink payload, some dummy payloads deployed as well. So today is hopefully a big day. Let's actually give you guys a little bit of a mini pre-launch preview here. This will hopefully let you know what types of things to be looking forward to. Of course, this is taking place at the only place that Starship currently can launch from, which is at Starbase, Texas, and specifically Pad A, the OG, the original pad with the booster bidet, with the water data system underneath it. This is the OG one. This is the only one currently operational, although Pad B is looking better and better every single day, and hopefully we see that happen, in a few months. I'll say a few months because I have no idea. I don't know if that means 2 months, 5 months, 10 months. No idea. But, yeah. So, sorry, what was that, Spencer? Okay, turnaround time. Yeah, we need to readjust the turnaround time, but we have, so the turnaround time now would be 49 days. That is the old turnaround time. But that's still really quick, pretty quick for this. Hopefully the next one's even quicker than that, though. Hopefully we're starting getting into the 30s and then into the 10s, and then hopefully someday into just the days would be awesome. The booster for this is B-15, and we're hoping for another return to launch site for a catch attempt, which is extremely exciting. This will be the third catch attempt. Of course, the I like how that view just perfectly blocks the rocket with our pre-launch preview. Oh, there we go. Burrito cam for the win. The third catch attempt. Now, don't forget, we kind of said that it was they had 4 opportunities to catch. Flight 6 had to abort the catch. So this is like the 4th opportunity, the 3rd attempt at catching. So we'll see. So if it catches, it'll be the 3rd successful catch. Confusing, I know. My bad. Ship, this is S-34. It's the second version of Flight 2. They're hoping to, again, see this one splash down softly, targeted precisely into the Indian Ocean about 66 minutes or so after takeoff. And this is the 4th splashdown attempt. So, again, Flight 6 did not go well. Flight 6 went very poorly as far as the Starship upper stage goes. So today we're hoping for a lot more progress to see it, return to the glory that we've seen previously with, like Ship with Flight 3 looked, okay. 4 was great. 5 was great. 6 was great. 7 was not so great. So we've had 3 really good, splashdowns, including, the Bernie Flappy of the burn through Flappy. Was that Flight 4? I think that was Flight 4, right? Absolutely crazy. Anyway, I think we're just going to kind of hop into questions as we wait for the official stream to start. As you guys can tell, I just landed. I'm back home for like a day, quick turnaround time before I go on family vacation in the next week. So I'm home real quick, and I was able to catch this. So sorry that the stream started a little bit late, and that's also why I'm not able to be there in person. It's been a crazy couple weeks, and I'm going to be taking some time off with friends and family, which is going to be great. Meanwhile, I still will be finding time to work on my next video that I'm working on, of course, because that's also fun for me. So now that's out of the way. The other thing I wanted to remind you, you may see, okay, well, the other thing I wanted to remind you guys is we do have a timeline here of what to expect. So we're getting pretty close to seeing prop load. So at T-minus 1 hour and 15 minutes is when we were verified. Flight director conducted the poll for the go no go poll for propellant load. So I'm going to give you kind of the preload, and then you can see obviously on our screen we also have the flight timeline. But the pre-flight timeline, the next big milestone is once you'll kind of see these the chill down vents. Right now they're purging the lines, getting them all cool down for cryogens, and then they'll start loading propellant into the vehicle. Once we actually stop seeing venting in at the QD or at the mount there, at the launch mount, and up on the tower, once those kind of turn off, that's when they're actually starting to load the propellant into the vehicle. For now, it's just venting as they're cooling it down, getting it ready to be flowing, millions of liters of propellant. Yeah, a lot of propellant. So anyway, they'll start loading that around 46 minutes, at T-minus 46 minutes. So we have about 20 more minutes for that. And hopefully by then, around that same time is when SpaceX will hopefully go live, and we'll start getting official commentary from them, which is always exciting. So, and we'll of course have that on air, so you don't have to go anywhere, and you can get 4K and all of the technical goodiness. So then obviously we have the timeline here on the left, what we can expect to see. Like I said, the splashdown is hopefully going to be about 66 minutes. That's going to be the star of today's show. Besides booster landing, we've seen 2 of those already. It's time to see. Actually, I think the big one today that I'm really excited for is the Starlink, the dummy Starlink payload deployment. That's going to be a really big one because this is the first time they're actually deploying a payload in space. Now, notice I'm saying in space and not on orbit because technically Starship's not quite orbital. It's like just barely suborbital by literally only, I don't even know, 100 meters per second or something, a very small amount. It could easily get itself into orbit. But it's not quite there yet. They want to prove out for sure they can deorbit. They can prove out for sure they can land and do all the things safely before they really go about doing that. So today's test is just some Starlink dummies. I would love the real true, like, coolest thing that could happen today is if the Starlink dummies go out and if they have cameras on any of them, and if they transmit wireless data back to either Starship or just via Starlink, and just allow us to see Starship in space. How cool would that be? How cool would that be? Would you guys absolutely not love to see that? I think you should. I think you should love to see that. And then the other thing here, you may see that I have a pinned comment here, and that's just to remind you guys that I'm extremely sincerely so thankful that you're here watching with me. I know that there's a lot of amazing other streamers. There's a lot of other options you can do streaming. Monday, we kind of had a bit of a, I'll call it a poop show as far as the chat, which just wasn't embodying what I want when I'm cultivating, and curating an audience. I want us to be focused on the exciting future that we're going to be living in, watching this rocket hopefully take humans to the moon and Mars someday. This is the future that I'm excited about. And this is what I have dedicated my life and my career to, is covering this stuff. And so I hope that if you're in this chat, that you're hopefully you're like-minded as well, and you're excited about this, and that's what we're here for. So if you're off topic, we do have kind of a team of moderators refired back up. I'd kind of gone away with modding too heavily in the past, but I think it's time. I think we found out that there's a limit to just letting people. There's the perfect example that we came up with online the other day, and it was. It'd be like you go to a movie and you're sitting there watching a movie together, and all of a sudden people in the audience just start yelling, "Chevy! Ford! No, Chevy!" And it's like, well, guys, this has nothing to do with what we're watching. What are you doing? So just keep that in mind, that we're here to watch rockets, talk about rockets all day long, be friendly to each other, and I love you, and thanks for watching. So with that in mind, let's start answering some questions. And remember, again, we have a team of mods that are pulling in questions here for us. You don't have to do super chats. People think that everything on screen is a super chat. It's not. Actually, a lot of it's about probably 50-50. We try to get to super chats, obviously, because we appreciate the support, but things that you see on screen sometimes are and sometimes aren't. So we're pulling in good questions. First one that's on my queue right here is from Michael Scott himself. Hopefully, probably not from, maybe a fictional character is now a member. That would be fantastic. But this is a fun one from the Building Texas show. Really enjoyed your concert Saturday at the Firefly event. Thank you so much. That was awesome. Firefly landed on the moon Sunday morning. We played the moon landing party. And by we, I mean I've even seen people in the chat ask, like, what was the song at the beginning of the live stream? Any music you ever see in any of my videos, in any of my live streams, in anything ever is music that I write. And you can normally find most of it on iTunes and Apple Music or wherever you listen to music. I am working on some new music. There's new songs that we played at that Firefly landing party. That was a lot of fun. So just keep that in mind. If you get that song ever stuck in your head, that you can listen to it yourself whenever you want. It was a lot of fun, and that was awesome. Yeah, it was really fun playing that party. From Jocelyn saying, it looks like there's an emote saying vibes surrounded with little purple stars. Thank you so much, Jocelyn, for your support. Slithery, 62 months of membership from our boy Slithery, or I guess our panda, or whatever creature that is. But thank you so much. That is so great to hear from you. Always love seeing you in the chat. From Francois, how was my birthday? My birthday was awesome. Turned 40. 40s are great so far. Yeah, it was awesome. I had a fantastic weekend. Having a moon landing party is like the ultimate. I mean, come on. You can't say that's not awesome. Next one is, this is a sad thing if you're now just listening and hearing this for the first time. It might be the first time you hear this. IM-2 Athena, so Intuitive Machines' second lunar lander. This is a question from Andrew Hillis saying, I think IM-2 Athena is dead in the water. Any updates on IM-2 Tim? So last we heard, it sounds like we again, unfortunately, have a tippy ovary lunar lander. It sounds like it once again landed and fell over. The orientation, the pointy end up, flamey end. Pointy end does not seem by the data to be up, and the flamey end does not appear to be down. So yeah, we're thinking of Intuitive Machines. That would be really bad. That's not fun. Luckily, they are producing multiple landers like this, and that's kind of the beautiful thing of the commercial commercial CLIPS program. The lander services is that these companies are set up to be able to build multiple landers. Build these at commercial volumes, and that helps bring the cost down. So even if things like this happen, it's hopefully not entirely detrimental, but it is disappointing. So thinking of them, I'm sure they'll figure it out. They're a clever group of people, and they will absolutely figure it out, and I hope that we learn more from it. So let's see here. As per Twitter, we are go for prop load. That is great to know. Let's go, baby. All right. Go for prop load as of 5 minutes ago. So they're saying they're going to go live about T-minus 30 minutes. That gives us a lot of time to answer questions. This is from Jabo Zenator. Everyday astronaut, how much of a setback would a destroyed catch tower be? I mean, it would be pretty substantial. The towers, the launch infrastructure takes a year to build. Now, granted, here's the thing. I don't think if when the rocket comes back, it's mostly empty. So it's explosive detonation capability actually isn't as great as you might think. Now, if it did not light its engines and it was just a kinetic impactor, full of had more fuel, because obviously that landing burns fuel. So let's say it for some reason just didn't do the landing burn. For some reason was unable to divert and just went smack into the tower. That'd probably be very, very bad. Luckily, they have it so, by default, it's almost never pointing in any way, shape, or form straight at the launch tower and straight at the ground until the engines light. Once the engines light, you'll actually notice a strict attitude change, because it's really weird. I'm going to use a Falcon 9 model. You have a horizontal vector. It's coming in horizontally, right? It's also dropping. So for simplicity, let's say it's about 45 degrees, right? And they purposely will aim it short of the launch tower, because once they light the engines, first thing it's going to do, it's already crooked, right? It's falling at an angle, and it's falling at as much of an angle as possible to scrub off as much velocity as possible. As it's coming into this angle, it's actually going to start scrubbing off horizontal velocity first. So as soon as it kind of lights its engines, you'll also notice it kind of like does this scoop thing, and then has to broomstick its way over. So they intentionally make it so that if the engines didn't light, it would basically miss the tower. It needs to be able to do this maneuver to be able to get over the tower. You'll see that. They do the same thing with the Falcon 9. They make it so that after the entry burn, they then will do this big dog leg with the grid fins. And if the entry burn didn't work, or something failed at that point, it takes the grid fins being basically maxed out, pushing it all the way over to the launch site. So if there's something wrong with the grid fins or the burn, it'll actually just fall short of the landing pad. So there's a lot of just inherent ways that make it so the booster should hopefully, I don't want to say would never impact the tower or would never just like completely destroy the tower, but it's inherently set up in a way that will avoid that, just kind of from the direction it's coming in, from what happens when the engines light, from what would happen if the engines didn't light, what would happen if the grid fins stopped working. All these things to say they also would potentially terminate the rocket if it was completely off nominal and didn't, if the engines didn't light for the landing burn, I'm pretty sure that would trigger a full detonation. And then that would break up most of the energy, get all that fuel unburnt. It would break up into smaller pieces. There'd still be a lot of kinetic energy. However, a lot more surface area now would be exposed, to the depths of the atmosphere, and would hopefully remove a lot more of that energy yet if it was in a million pieces as opposed to one. So there's, like I said, it's kind of, it would be a bad thing, but I also think there's just kind of inherent ways in which they're preventing the booster from hopefully destroying it. Let's see. Muhammad wants to know, if SLS got canceled as rumored, how do you think the full plan to get humans to the moon will look like? Well, I think the big question is, if SLS gets canceled, does Orion get canceled? The only other viable option to get Orion to the moon is probably, I don't know if New Glenn maybe would have the capability fully expended. Maybe. Probably not quite, though. 27 tons is a lot for a TLI, for a translunar injection. However, the other option would be if they say that Orion is the only way to get humans to and from the moon safely, and that's what's seen as like absolute, then you could do something where like you launch Orion into low Earth orbit, have it dock with a kick stage that gets it out to the moon, and you do a multi-mission, 2 missions or whatever, and you maybe get the kick stage up into space first, then dock with it, and then get out there. But there's a lot of complications there. Like, is the docking port designed to be able to handle that kind of force? Is the can you whip something up like that together where it's not originally intended to? It's not Kerbal Space Program, so unfortunately things like this do add a lot of time and energy. I think the logical answer here, so that's the one side. If you have to use Orion, that's the one side. Now the other side of this is, if the other absolute is that currently the only way to get onto the moon's surface is by getting onto Starship, because that's the plan. Starship or Blue Moon's blue lander. I mean, Blue Origin's Blue Moon, which is their lunar lander. There we go. If that's the other option, both of those things take off here from Earth, and they eventually get to the moon and eventually get to the surface of the moon. Why rendezvous with it at the moon? Why worry about getting it all the way, getting a human, a crewed vehicle all the way out to the moon, docking with it in lunar orbit, and then, doing all that again? Like, why not just dock with the lunar lander in low Earth orbit and send the crew out from low Earth orbit, right? So if you could just send a crew up on a Crew Dragon capsule, meet with the lunar lander of Starship or whatever vehicle in low Earth orbit, and then do your translunar injection and then go from there, that's an option. However, that's only an option for like a single shot. Like, for once there, you likely wouldn't have enough fuel and propellant to be able to do that mission over and over and over. Because I think, well, we'll have to see. It takes 850 or so meters per second each way to get down from lunar orbit. We could run these numbers. I should run these numbers. Now that I actually am not afraid of the rocket equation. After my Apollo video, I'm not afraid of the rocket equation anymore. So realistically, I have 3.1 times 2, so 6.2 times, so 850 times 2 is 1,700 plus 6.2. Altogether, oopsies, that was not what I meant to do. Hang on. 6.2 plus, what did I say, 1.7? So about 8 kilometers per second is what we need a vehicle to be able to have in order to get from low Earth orbit to the moon and back. However, the and back part doesn't actually need the full thing because it can aero brake. So we need less than that. We need, we'll say 6 or 7 kilometers per second to be able to do a mission like that. I still think the best thing to do would be able to have a transfer vehicle, an Earth-Moon transfer vehicle that doesn't have any landing hardware. It's just dedicated to only get crew from low Earth orbit to lunar orbit and back. That's its only job. It's dedicated to that purpose. It's stripped down. It's super efficient. That's all it does. I think that would be if I were designing this mission, I would do that. I'd have a tanker, I'd have a lander, I'd have a transfer vehicle, and then I'd have a Dragon capsule for now until Starship's flown about 1 billion times without an abort system and landed safely before I trust putting a crew on it. I would do that. That's what I would do. But those are just my opinions, and those are just some options. There's plenty of other creative solutions too. From Jake Yarnall wants to say, is the pointy end up or pointy end down? I cannot tell. Well, luckily this shot is getting us hopefully that exact answer as we speak. Maybe can we actually go ahead and zoom in on this a little bit? Oh, this shot's just perfect. This shot you can pretty clearly define. Actually, let's pull another shot. We might as well grab all of our ocular assessments here. All of our assets, our visual assets that can help us confirm pointy end up, flaming end down. So I don't know if we can take another. Yeah. Oh, that's a good one. You can really see the pointy end there. You can actually see the flaming end. From this shot, I'm going to go ahead and declare it that the pointy end is up, the flaming end is down. That's probably why they didn't launch on Monday either. We didn't even declare it. So that is probably why. Thank you so much, Jake. Let's see here. Do I think a crewed Mars mission is nearly guaranteed at least before 2040? Nothing's guaranteed in spaceflight, sadly. There's been a lot of programs make a lot of progress, do a lot of cool things, get a lot of the way into their plans and have to cancel or fail. All it takes is a massive something else to distract us in this world, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, stuff like this could just be not important. And I think that's why it's so important to be excited about what we have right now and to be cheering for the future, because you just never know when things will change. So do I think guaranteed before 2040? No, nothing's guaranteed. I would say, though, by 2040, I have a pretty high, I'd be 90% sure that humans would have walked on Mars by 2040. I would definitely hope that even by 2035, there's a decent chance that humans would have stood on the planet Mars, which would be really cool. But yeah, I don't know if nothing's guaranteed, though, sadly. Nothing's guaranteed. COD 3 Warrior says, if all of us in the chat took a piece of bread and dropped it on the floor, we could make a multi-sided Earth sandwich. Now that is an experiment I can get behind. I think if actually every single one of us did that, that'd be fantastic. Thank you so much for the support, ROP. This is from Trevor Scott saying, just started working for SpaceX. So excited to watch this launch. That is fantastic. Congratulations on your position, and hope your view from inside of SpaceX or from Starbase or wherever you're working is fantastic. That's really, really fun. From Mooseburger, thank you so much for the donation. Hi, Tim. I've been watching you since 2018. Your videos have inspired many people, including myself, to study in STEM, so science, technology, engineering, mathematics. I've started a mechatronics engineering degree, also pointy end up, flaming and down check. Thank you. Yes, we just did the pointy end up, flaming and down check, but thank you so much. And congratulations on wanting to pursue something like that. I think it definitely takes the passion and the drive. If that's what, if you're going to be going into something like that, it's going to take some dedication. So best of luck. And yeah, I'm excited to see what you do. And thank you for saying hi. Speedbird. Yeah, no, family vacation is the reason I'm not there. I'm not going to be able to make it to all these. Honestly, it frankly just gets really hard for me. Honestly, I don't want to just be traveling all the time, and I don't want to live down there. I'll be down there for big milestones, and I'll be down there when it works out. But luckily, we have this incredible 4K production trailer and an amazing team of people that are able to do this, and I can be anywhere. You know, I've seen a booster catch now. I do want to see a Starship catch, you know, and I want to see some of the bigger milestones. But it doesn't really. In fact, I almost feel like I'm more distracted, more stressed when I am there. Here's our production team. Speaking of production team, there's the trailer. Howdy. You know, I almost feel like I can do a better job hosting when I'm just able to hang out here and you know, and focus in on the mission. Um, I don't know. I mean, I'll be there when I can, but I'm not. I don't want to make it like I have to be there at every single one, um, no matter how bad I would like to be. I was nervous. I was actually going to be in a car having to stream, like while it's moving today. That would have been interesting. Let's see here, William. Thank you so much for becoming a member, and Michael Scott again coming in as a member and a tip. Very, very much appreciated. Let's see. This is from Stars Over Jersey. Tim, thanks for answering my question last time regarding your future endeavors. Do you still think there's a threat of another country recovering the ship hardware from the ocean and learning from it? I mean, the ocean's really big, like really, 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 really big. You know, unfortunately the tragedy of that one Malaysian air flight or whatever, the MH370 or whatever it was. I don't remember the flight number, but that was lost in the Indian Ocean. This is around the same area where Starship's reentering, and we still couldn't, you know, with like the world trying to find this plane and wreckage of it, no one, you know, there's been nothing. There's been no signs. So if someone was, you know, plucky enough to kind of figure out even the general area, you know, Jeff Bezos, I talked to him about him recovering some of the engines from Apollo 11 and how hard that was for his team to be able to recover that. And that was with like very precise locations and, you know, and very, very precise locations. The ocean's big. I don't think it's a huge deal. And maybe once it's blown up, it's, you know, it's even harder because everything just sinks into, I don't know, because they do. Yeah. I do see a question just I want to ask real quick here, or answer real quick. By the way, people asking how much time, of course, in the, you know, top left part of your screen, you see our timer right there, T-minus 45 minutes. It's still on time for a 5:30 p.m. Central, 17:30 Central time, which is, let's see, Central is 6 hours. So that'd be a 23:30 UTC time. What was I going to say? The other one that I was going to answer, something. Yeah, I don't know. Let's just keep going here. So LTB, can you tell us about what changes were made to Starship after the run? So I think, so what happened, there's a fuel leak basically in between the bottom part, the floor of the, you know, where the engines are, and then there's the bottom of the propellant tank. There's a little cavity there, and a propellant leak showed up in there. You know, they're basically, oh no, there's a little bit of leak. Some kind of resonant frequency caused a leak in the fuel lines, and it started just spewing, you know, methane into that area, caught on fire. That accumulated, got very bad, right? The solution is more fire suppression, so more CO2, similar to what we have on the booster. Well, what is that flying really fast? Such as the drone? I gotta see that. So the solution, you know, is basically more or less have more fire suppression and or revert back to how the lines were mounted or whatever change they made between, you know, Starship 1 and Starship version 2. There's some changes they made, and they likely could just revert to the old style to avoid whatever happened, assuming that they learned from it. And that's kind of all we know. That's really what we know were made after the run, what changes were made after the run. Let's see here. Justin Coleman, thank you so much. Oh, that was the Coast Guard helicopter in the background. Sick. Justin Coleman, thank you so much for becoming a member. Greatly appreciate it. Jeff Logan, enjoy your family vacation and don't work. Well, I will have, there's going to be days between parts of the vacation. So I need some days to work. And then I'm also going to be camping for a bit of time and working off grid while I wait for a shoot at the end of the month. And it's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm looking forward to it. Oh, baby. Tower vent has stopped, so they've begun fueling. Is that correct? Is that correct? Yes, tower vent did stop. Oh, that's a great sign. Well, guys, we are hopefully looking at a potential launch attempt then today. This is good. All things are looking like it's go. We're not seeing anything that isn't go now. So that's great. Okay, so I mean, weather's looking fantastic. Let's start there. First and foremost, we got fantastic weather. We still do have venting at the, but the booster should be starting to fuel pretty soon here. Booster starts prop load at like T minus 41:22. So that's going to be in about a minute. So we'll start looking for the down at the launch mount for that to stop venting. Will be a good sign that they're officially prop loading on the booster too. So, woo! Cool, and it's official as of SpaceX. Prop load. Oh, that was it. Yep, a prop load of Starship's upper stage and Super Heavy booster are underway. I love it. Yes, 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 yes. And yeah, once we get once this thing gets off the ground, there is the flight timeline. So again, the big milestones that we're looking for today. Obviously, we expect a totally nominal launch for the first bit. You know, getting through max Q. That's pretty standard stuff these days. Most engines cut off and hot staging separation. We're obviously expecting that. We've seen that a handful of times now be successful. Then we will see the boost back burn and Starship start up, and the Starship will continue on into near orbitish and do its hopefully its full completion burn, and the Super Heavy booster will come back down, and that's of course a very, very exciting milestone. With a clear day like this, expect some incredible tracking footage, especially from our team with our amazing tracking assets. You guys have seen all of that, I know. We have just an awesome team full of people doing incredible work, and I love that we use like literal, you know, cinema cameras to be able to do these tracking assets because it just comes back looking so good. We also have something, I don't know if we're actually, this is actually Ryan's camera here from the telescope. So that's about 4,400 millimeters of telescopic action. And you might, you know, it might look hazy and a little bit out of focus now-ish. I mean, obviously it looks pretty darn good to me. But a lot of that is actually atmospheric haze. It's a lot of you know, the heat coming off of the sand and the dunes, and you can see the atmospheric distortion causing, you know, like literal, you know, kind of wrinkles in the image, and that's that goes away pretty quickly once the vehicle lifts off the pad. That clears up because you get above that layer of atmospheric distortion. So you know, the optics are looking through a lot more still air after that. So that's fun to see. So this is another. This is a let's see. This is not a tracking camera, but it's going to be a great shot. Oh, that's the spotting scope. Holy cow, spotting scope's got. So this is actually what Ryan's kind of looking at when if he starts to lose the vehicle in the main scope, he's looking at this one. They move, they're mounted together, so they move in unison. And so if he starts to lose it in the big scope, he will use that spotting scope to hopefully, you know, be able to get it back into the center of the frame and be able to continue tracking it perfectly. So, woo. Yeah, so, and then, like I said, then the other big milestones we're looking for today is there's going to be that payload deployment demo at 17 minutes after liftoff. Then there's going to be a Raptor relight 20 minutes after that. There's going to be Starship entry, and hopefully they'll be landing at about T plus 1 hour, 6 minutes, and 26 seconds is the time that they have. So we hope to see all those things happen. We hope to see all those things happen. How are you guys feeling? I want to know. I want to get a little pulse check here from the audience. How you think we're launching today, and how successful do you think? Like, I could do one of those polls, but polls, it's hard for me to think on the fly about, like, how do we do this? Launch? Like, I want to know, do you think it's launching? Yes, no? And then I want you to, you know, 1 through 10, how successful? 10 being like all milestones perfect, no problems, perfect. 1 being a full-on run on the pad, doesn't even clear the pad. So I think I'm like a yes 9. I'm a yes 9. That's what I am. What are you guys? What do you guys? I'm excited to see. I'm seeing. All right, I'm seeing some good. I'm seeing like 8.7s, 10, lots of stuff, lots of good stuff. 8, there we go. An A. I don't know what an A is on a scale from 1 to 10, but I think it's probably decent, right? Another thing I want to mention that I don't know if for sure, maybe Spencer and Andrew, you guys can let me know. Do we actually have replay working, or is that a thing that we need one more operator in there to be able to handle? Ooh, Spencer says we're gonna try. We have an amazing Blackmagic replay system now that brings in all of our feeds, and we're able to like literally scrub back and forth, like because normally it's actually really hard to do that, especially with our remote cameras. But now that basically takes them all in almost like a giant buffer, and then we can just kind of take individual feeds. I think we have 8 feeds we can scrub through back and forth. So I'd say people are feeling pretty good. Oh, Spencer's showing us the controller. So you can literally spin on a wheel, and it's quite satisfying. It's actually a very satisfying thing. Blackmagic makes some really cool stuff. We're kind of loving it. And what's neat for video nerds, it all shows up in DaVinci. Like just natively shows up in Resolve, all the channels that you're recording. So you can literally like cut it right there. So we're hoping someday, maybe, I don't know about this launch for sure, but we're hoping someday that our outro will actually be a custom outro per each launch, which would be really, really cool. Kind of like what you see with, some SpaceX streams and YouTube streams, or like, I think NASA does that at the end of missions, or, where they're doing an outro and it actually has real footage from the launch, which I think would be really cool. Yeah. All right. So, before we get moving, because we're coming up on SpaceX, hopefully going to be coming on live. And once they're live, I like to just kind of shut up and listen, learn along with the rest of you. And I'll be sticking around for a while afterwards today, since I got a little bit of time here. And we'll go over all the things that we learned and go over all the things that we witnessed. But before that, again, thank you so much to everyone that's doing supports. I'll try to get through them as quickly as I can here. But the other way that if you want to support the channel, you can go to the shop at everydayastronaut.com/shop. Pick up something cool. We are doing a sale on the 1969 collection. So for those of you that watched the Apollo video that just released 1 week ago and is about to cross 1 million views, I'm surprised. I did not think it was going to be a high-performing video. I was like, this is just one of those evergreen videos that's going to live off on the internet forever. But it's surprisingly performing pretty well, very well. Anyway, in honor of that video, the 1969 collection, we're doing 15% off today by using coupon code LAUNCHDAY, all one word, all lowercase. You can get like this 1969 Apollo hoodie that I'm wearing. We have the A7L hoodie. We have a few different hats and shirts. So if you want to support the channel, everydayastronaut.com/shop. Use coupon code LAUNCHDAY, all one word, all lowercase, to take 15% off of our 1969 collection. That'd be awesome. I greatly appreciate the support, and that helps us continue to do what we do and helps the teams be able to make it to where they need to be to make these things happen. So a huge shout out to them and the mods and everybody. And it's all thanks to you guys and your generous support. So get something fun for yourself. everydayastronaut.com/shop. All right, let's get ready to answer a few more questions while we kind of wait for SpaceX. This is from Flowery Sheepy. Hello again, Tim. What is your favorite thing with Starship? Also, when do you think the hot stage ring will be permanently attached to the booster? So thank you so much, Flowery Sheepy. I think my favorite thing is just this concept. I really like the flaps. I really like how they're handling reentry. I like that their control method is completely novel, where they're not using like, ailerons or like an all moving control surface. They're almost like giant brakes. And a lot of people don't quite understand that they're basically perpendicular to a wing and a normal aero surface. They're like 90 degrees offset from what a normal wing or aero surface looks like. The closest thing that they can relate to is like a split aileron of a B-2 bomber. I just think it's super cool. I think they're like really unique. That's one of the things I'm working on for the next video is diving more into these flaps and a way that I think we could maybe improve them potentially. It's one of those like, this is my dumb idea. It's my armchair expert idea. And it's fun. I'll show you, I'll explain to you all about it. But I think that's my favorite thing. And I think they'll ditch the hot stage ring once they have, the version 2 of booster. Or I guess are they calling that version 3 because it's in Starship 3? Like based on that one chart, it was like Starship 3 is the taller booster. Whenever they start doing Raptor 3, which I don't think will be until probably, I have no idea. Hopefully this year, hopefully this year we'll see a Raptor 3 powered Starship stack. which would be crazy because that means like this is still very interim. This is very, version 2 of Starship, and this version of the booster with the hot staging ring is very temporary. If version 3 is already pretty much right around the corner, but it's going to take Raptor 3 to be able to power the taller, stretched out, bigger version of the new booster, which will probably have to have the integrated. That will finally have the integrated hot stage ring, and probably a lot of other tweaks. I'll bet by the time they're flying that, they'll have some really, really cool designs. I think that'll be really cool. Cool. So we'll be bringing SpaceX's feed on to our feed here once we have audio of them like talking. Right now it's just kind of their loading screen. So once the hosts are live, we will bring them live and I'll listen just along with you guys. Griffin Motorsports, how's it going, Tim? It's going great. Honestly, I'm having a great time. This is a gorgeous day. So I feel like we're going to get just incredible footage, and hopefully we see some really exciting milestones. Here's what I want to see, guys. Tell me, do you think there's a small chance in heaven and hell that we're going to see the Starlink demos have cameras on them? If the Starlink dummy payload has a camera and is able to like float away from Starship, and you get to see, what if we got to see the engine relight from an external point of view? Wouldn't that be about the coolest thing in the entire world? I'm hoping. I have no idea if that's at all true, but I would imagine for these guys that'd be relatively simple these days. They can just have a Starlink receiver on it, a little battery pack, blah blah blah, push it out into space, say bye-bye, and turn on a camera. That's easy stuff for SpaceX. That would be amazing. That's my like, if that shows up, I'm gonna freak out because that would be the coolest shot of all spaceflight history. One of the coolest shots of all spaceflight history. Gilgwath. So Tim won't go to Mars. This means no Tim Goes to Mars fund. Where should we send Tim instead? Alpha Centauri, or just spend it on tacos? I'm always happy to spend some money on tacos, that's for sure. I still would like to go to the moon someday if it becomes super feasible. We'll see. Maybe we'll, in my lifetime, we'll actually see humans going to the moon, like we're starting to see people going on, Blue Origin's New Shepard, just casually going to space. Lackland wants to know, wondering what missions would you like to see take place that fully utilize Starship's capability? Ooh, this is a good one. I think I'm really looking forward to really big space stations, like really big habitats, like Gravitics and Vast, like making ones that are meant for Starship's enormous payload bay. Or what was that one, the French, what was that? The Louvre telescope? What is it called? Large ultraviolet optical infrared surveyor? Louvre, that one. I think that's what it is. And it's like James Webb times 4 even, or whatever. It's like massive, and it would fit beautifully inside of Starship. In fact, if you actually type in LUVOIR Starship, I think you can see an image as between SpaceX and NASA showing this payload inside of a Starship. This is back when it had like the 3 fins in the back, totally different version of Starship. But I still think that'd be about the coolest thing, like a James Webb class or beyond, even massive space telescope. I think that'd be really, really fun. Yeah. Let's see here. Michael Scott, we did kind of mention that it sounds like, unfortunately, from what I understand, last I heard, I did not have Wi-Fi on my flight. Last I heard, Intuitive Machines unfortunately tipped over again. That's not great, and it's sad, and I really hope they figure this out, because they got to start figuring that out. That's kind of their gig, it's landing on the moon. So I hope we get a full report, and I hope they have a very good understanding of what went wrong. Let's see. This is from Avatrode LLC. Thank you for the quality SpaceX coverage. You are welcome. Thank you for saying hi, and thanks for being in the chat. Thank you, Orion. All right, SpaceX is officially live. We're going to be cutting to them and listening in to the wonderful hosts who will always keep us informed better than I ever could. Holy crap!
I'm Kate Tyson.
Hold on, wait. Before the SpaceX stream comes up, I had to interrupt. I just caught this. What? From Matt, what's up? Love the vids. Apollo is awesome. I invented something for the space aviation auto tech industry that will save lives, reduce human error, and increase efficiency. Can we connect privately? Either way, the footage is great to use. Use this to keep making more videos. Sent you a note on your webpage with my info. Matt, holy crap. Thank you so freaking much. Are you serious? Whoa. Okay, everyone in chat, thank Matt, and we will be in touch. That's insane. Thank you so much. Everyone, thank you, Matt. You're amazing. Let's listen to SpaceX. This one's from Matt. Thank you so much.
By the time this automated hold appeared and the team started to work through it, we also triggered a hold on the booster LOX levels and had to call it for the day.
We were able to trace the spin system issue to just a misconfig on some of the ground hardware, so that had a really straightforward fix. We just took the time, though, to look into some of the other items that resulted in holds throughout the count, including some of our automation was triggering holds on the booster, which we were able to actually clear during that launch attempt by confirming the hardware was healthy, and we had some manual commanding backups. We also looked at some pop-up hardware and software issues on the ship, and just to put us in the best possible spot for a launch today, we destacked Starship, did some repairs inside a ship, and then ran some additional checkouts.
And that brings us to today, just about a month and a half after our last flight, which saw the second ever tower catch of the Super Heavy booster and the first flight of our upgraded ship, which unfortunately ended much sooner than we had hoped. It's important to remember that in development programs like this, progress is not always linear, and there is no comparison to putting flight hardware in a flight environment to learn as fast as possible. We always want to be in the best possible position to achieve our mission objectives, which is why we stood down from launch on our previous attempt and took the time over the last few days to get ready for launch.
Now, the objectives for today's flight going to look very similar to Flight 7. As always, primary payload for these flight tests is data. We are planning to deploy some simulated Starlink satellites and fly a range of experiments focused on reentry. We removed a whole bunch of tiles again from the ship for reentry testing, looking to really stress test it.
We'll also be intentionally stressing the flaps during reentry so we can test the limits of ship before we get ready to attempt future ship catches. So there is a lot of new testing happening today, and as always, excitement is guaranteed.
Now, just a real quick status check. So you could tell we're loading prop onto the vehicle. We were able to get through our prop load go, no go just about 40 minutes ago. And we are loading liquid oxygen, liquid methane on both vehicles, not tracking any vehicle problems, issues on either booster or ship. Weather is green right now. Winds at the pad are actually significantly lower than they are even just for us over here at the Star Factory. Just a couple mile difference makes a big change in those wind speeds. And range is currently projected to be go, but we are always watching any boats that are out there in the ascent and the entry. Now, let's take a couple of minutes to meet today's vehicle. Sitting there on the pad, it's the world's biggest rocket, Starship.
Starship consists of two stages, the ship, which has 6 Raptor engines, and the Super Heavy booster, which has 33 Raptor engines. Both stages are fully reusable. Super Heavy is the most powerful rocket ever flown and is designed to launch, return, and refuel, and launch again with 0 refurb between flights.
And then everything else you see around Starship, we refer to as Stage 0. That includes the towers. We've got our second launch tower stacked on the left side of your screen there, getting ready to come online later this year. It also applies to orbital launch mounts, our quick disconnect systems, everything on board. Also the water-cooled flame deflector, which is right underneath Starship. That's a particularly cool piece of engineering. It uses several 100,000 gallons of potable water to offset the pretty intense heat pressure coming out of those 33 Raptor engines at the bottom of the Super Heavy booster at the time of liftoff.
Now, you mentioned engines. Of the 6 Raptor engines on the ship, 3 of those are optimized for sea level performance and the other 3 for vacuum. Raptor Vacuum, or RVAC, well, those have a larger exhaust section and expansion nozzle to maximize efficiency in space, as there's no atmosphere up there. The ship as a whole is designed for vertical takeoff and landing on any hard surface.
The ship itself has 4 flaps that are used to control its attitude and enable precision landing during subsonic flight. And then for full reusability, the ship has to survive reentry not just once, but multiple times. It does that by using that heat shield, which is composed of those thousands of hexagonal ceramic tiles, which can insulate the vehicle during reentry, temperatures spiking up to about 2,600 degrees Fahrenheit in some spots. And a rapidly reusable heat shield has never been flown on any vehicle in history. So continuously improving the one we have, Starship, is still a key focus of our flight test campaign.
And of course, in between our first and second stages is our hot stage. Hot staging is when the second stage engines ignite while still attached to the first stage. There you can actually see a video of our previous hot staging maneuver, or executed on a previous flight. And how the ship's engines light while it's still ignited while the booster's engines are still firing. Basically, the rocket never stops accelerating, which makes it more efficient than traditional stage separation.
And then after we launch the booster, we also have to catch the booster. And we do that by using the 2 robotic arms, the same ones that lift Starship onto Super Heavy before we launch. They also catch the booster when it returns. It means we don't have to have any landing legs in the booster. That's a lighter booster. It means we can put more payload, more stuff going to space.
Thousands of criteria must be met before the booster can return and be caught. It requires a healthy systems and manual commanding from the flight director.
And just like on our previous flights, if that command's not sent before the end of the boost back burn, or if those automated health checks running in the background find any unacceptable conditions on the booster or the tower, they'll kick us out, and the booster can default to a landing burn and a soft splashdown out there in the Gulf.
Yeah, we've said it before. We'll say it again because it still holds true today. We accept no compromises when it comes to ensuring the safety of the public and our team. And the booster return will only take place if those thousands of conditions are right. So as the clock continues to tick down to launch, let's say hello to Chris, who's once again posted up in Hawthorne. How's it going, Chris?
Hey, Kate and Dan, and welcome everyone to Hawthorne, California. As you can hear and as you can see, the crowd is gathering. Excitement is really building here for Starship's 8th flight today. And speaking of flight, let's talk about the Raptor engines, which have quite a workout ahead of them today. Now, our Raptor engines are designed and manufactured right here in Hawthorne, and they have certainly accomplished some impressive things already. They've powered Starship in its first few flights around Earth, and they've helped bring 2 Super Heavy boosters back for a catch by the Mechazilla system at the launch site. But here at SpaceX, we're always looking to improve our designs, and we do this by using something that we call the algorithm. Now, for Raptor, the algorithm has helped us question the requirements for the engine, find the parts that we don't need, and then optimize the design for manufacturability and reuse. This allows us to simplify designs and drives us toward that rapid, reliable reuse. And as you can see on your screen here, it is definitely what we have done with the Raptor engine. Look at that beautiful family photo. You can really see how Raptor 3 is an unprecedented step forward in design. It eliminates the parts we don't need. It moves a lot of stuff inside the engine. And one thing that it also allows us to do is to delete the heavy engine heat shields that are used on the current version of Raptor today. And what that means is that when we switch to the Raptor 3 engine later this year, we'll be able to save about a metric ton of mass per engine. And when you multiply that by 39 or more engines, that's a lot of mass. And that mass savings actually helps us increase Starship's efficiency and the amount of payload that we're able to deliver to space and to Mars with Starship. But before we get to Mars, we still have a lot of important and critical development work to do. And it's flight tests like today's that help us do just that. Needless to say, the Raptor teams here in Hawthorne are very excited for today's flight and to see their hard work fly, just like all of our Starship teams are today for Flight 8. So Dan and Kate, back to you for some more info on Flight 8.
Thanks, Chris. You mentioned development. Let's talk about things that we learned from our last Starship mission. In January, Flight 7 of Starship generated lots of important data. That data led us to change some of our pre-flight testing for today's flight. A major find from Flight 7 was the detection of a harmonic response that was much stronger during flight than anything we had seen during testing.
That's right. Rocket engines create incredible amount of noise, vibration that can pass through every component in the rocket itself. Flight 7, we saw those vibrations at a specific frequency. They were also strong in a strong enough amplitude that it was placing a lot of extra stress on some of Starship's propulsion system. And that's what most likely led to propellant leaks that then cascaded into fires and ultimately our loss of contact with the ship.
As part of our investigation, our team took this flight's ship through a 60-second static fire, which was 10 times longer than any previous static fire. The test cycled through throttle levels to recreate different conditions seen within the propulsion system during flight. You can see that on your screen now. We also tested hardware changes on fuel feed lines to Raptor's vacuum engines.
The additional data we got from this test specifically led to some new hardware that's installed in the RVAC fuel feed lines, which are also unique to this upgraded version of ship. Those feed lines look like large straws. They run through the oxygen tank, and those are delivering fuel directly to those vacuum engines. The new hardware was successful in significantly lowering the strength of that harmonic resonance and relieving the extra stress on the prop system. And then just in addition to new hardware, we made a couple of operational tweaks, adjusting things like the temperature of the propellant as it's being fed to the engines, also changing the throttle level that we're setting those engines at on ascent.
We also looked at where fires broke out in the attic, which is the unpressurized space between the bottom of the ship's liquid oxygen tank and the engine heat shields. Fires here resulted in loss of ship on flights 2 and 7, so we took steps to make it more resilient to leaks. We added a hefty purge system that uses gaseous nitrogen. Similar to the carbon dioxide system on the booster, it floods the zone with an inert gas to help prevent a fire.
Yeah, we also increased the attic's just natural fire defense. We added some more vent holes that helps to keep that attic pressure close to vacuum. As Starship flies into space, makes it harder for a fire to ever exist. And then on the next generation ship, we're going to do the best thing possible and just start deleting some parts.
Yeah, the best part is no part.
The next generation of ship is going to use Raptor 3 engines, which are going to reduce that attic volume, and they're also going to eliminate most of the joints on the engines themselves that can leak into the space.
In the end, these changes represent the core of our test program. We fly hardware in a real-world environment, learn from the data, make updates, and fly again.
I love it.
And then today we're going to be attempting to do everything that we didn't get to do on Flight 7. So we're still looking to get our first reentry with the upgraded ship, while we're going to be really intentionally stressing it again to get data on what the vehicle's boundaries are. So everything we've got ahead of us, as always, starts with liftoff, and that's super heavy, igniting those 33 Raptor engines, lifting off from the pad here at Starbase for that initial ascent. All 33 will burn for the first roughly 2 minutes before we get into hot staging.
For hot staging, the second stage will ignite its engines while still attached to the first stage. That will create that stage separation. The booster will perform a flip maneuver and head on back to the launch site here just behind us. Then we will hopefully see the third ever tower catch by the launch tower.
Meanwhile, ship completes its ascent burn, gets into its suborbital trajectory. We've got some extra things we're going to do in space, like deploy those Starlink simulators. Also going to be relighting one of the Raptor engines, one of the sea level engines, before we get into reentry.
Yeah, that reentry phase will test multiple experiments, including missing heat shield tiles, metallic tiles, and loading the vehicle's flaps. The ship will then perform a flip maneuver and hopefully achieve a soft water landing as we have seen before. We've got some buoy cams stationed out there to give us great daylight views of that splashdown in the Indian Ocean.
Yeah, it's a lot, but again, we're really focused on finding what are the real world limits of Starship. We're doing it in this very remote area to find those limits before we get ready to return ship to the launch site and eventually catch it. And a lot of the upgrades we made to get to this version of ship are going to enable that.
Yeah, man, that's going to be exciting to see ship catch.
It's going to be wild.
Now, Ship 7 premiered a huge block of upgrades to add more capability to Starship, and we've carried them through to test on Flight 8 today. First, the forward flaps got a redesign. They have shrunk and shifted away from the ship's belly or the heat shield. You can see that on your screen there. This new position will reduce their exposure to heating during re-entry. We've also extended the length of Starship, and we've done this by 2 meters. This additional height gives us about 25% more propellant volume, which will aid in future longer duration missions. We also implemented propulsion upgrades, such as new fuel feed line system for the Raptor vacuum engines, as well as vacuum jacketing of feed lines and an improved propulsion avionics module.
And you've heard us talk, a lot of the experiments we're running today are focused on reentry, we're intentionally removing a whole bunch of tiles all over Starship itself.
That's so crazy.
In this missing tile test. They're removed in critical areas this time, including over those propellant tanks, around some of the flaps, as we're really looking to use this flight to push Starship's capabilities. If we're not resilient to a missing tile and the backup ablative underneath, we need to know that. We also test a couple of different tiles on Starship, some metallic ones, one of which has some active cooling built into it.
Avionics also underwent a complete redesign with 4 upgraded Starlink terminals. You can see the location there popping up on your screen. Those now combine Starlink navigation and radio frequency, as well as communications into a single unit. And non-structural versions of the ship's catch fittings have been installed to test thermal performance, i.e. do they survive re-entry, along with a smooth and tapered edge on the tile line to address hot spots we covered and saw in Flight 6.
And we've got some radar sensors on the tower catch arms again, as we're just looking at different ways to measure distance between the arms and a vehicle. These ones are actually protected by kind of a modified version of our heat shield tiles. Catching the ship's going to be a little different from catching a booster. One of the key things is it's going to do that flip right before its landing burn that rapidly reorients your antennas, which you're using for navigation. So those extra sensors on the ground side help just add more layers of control as ship and tower talk together for the catch.
And in another first, Starship will deploy 4 Starlink simulators. They are similar in size to our next generation Starlink satellites. Starship will have the ability to deploy our advanced V3 Starlink satellites, which will help further Starlink's impact in the coming years as we work to expand access to high-speed internet all around the world.
Each Starlink V3 launch is planned to add about 60 terabits per second of capacity to the Starlink network. To give you some perspective, that's about 20 times the capacity we're adding right now with every V2 mini launch on a Falcon 9. Those Starlink simulators that we're going to deploy are on the same suborbital trajectory as Starship itself. They're expected to demise upon entry. Starship's trajectory looks super similar to our last couple of flights. Splashdown is targeted for the Indian Ocean. And then on top of all of that, again, we are planning to relight one Raptor engine while in space. That just helps us get data on the in-space burns and show Starship is capable of deorbiting.
Speaking of deorbiting, thanks to Starlink, one of the hallmarks of the Starship missions are the incredible views that we get throughout flight, and especially during reentry, as evidenced by many a phone and desktop background around here. Yeah. Every day, we're working to expand the Starlink network both on Earth and in space. For how this all connects us to the big mission, let's head back to Chris.
Thanks, Kate. Personally, I love all those epic views of the plasma wrapping around Starship during reentry. Can't wait to see that later today. And fans of Starship may know that Starlink enables us to bring you lots of unprecedented views, both from space and here on Earth. Starlink is the world's largest satellite constellation operating in low Earth orbit today to deliver high-speed, low-latency broadband internet and connectivity, specifically for missions like Starship today. And as you can see on your screen, Starlink brings us many other views because of its capabilities. In addition to the dozens of cameras on Starship itself, we have mobile camera kits with Starlink deployed in the Indian Ocean, which is what you're seeing some footage of right now on your screen from a previous mission. You'll notice the Starlink mini dish in the foreground here as Starship lands in the background. Just what an image that captured from an earlier flight. Now, Starlink also connects our aerial and cinematography units on the ground at Starbase, which will help us deliver the incredible drone shots leading up to launch today. And here on your screen, you can actually see us moving the flaps, preparing Starship for flight, making sure all of the aero surfaces that need to move during flight can do so in the way that we need them to. Now, on Starship itself, Starlink will enable Starship today to stream more than 120 megabits per second of real-time, high-definition video and telemetry in every phase of flight, including views like you're seeing right now of those flaps moving. This not only helps provide those views, but it also helps give our engineers an incredible amount of data to help us rapidly and iterate across all parts of the system as we move through our development program. And all of the streaming data today will definitely be put to good use with the more than 30 cameras on the vehicle for flight. But providing epic views is sort of a side quest for Starlink. Its main job is obviously to provide internet access for people around the world, many of whom who have never had connectivity before. Now, today, Starlink serves more than 125 countries, territories, and other markets with over 5 million active customers and counting. And there are just so many inspiring ways that people are using Starlink all around the world and in space. And hopefully today, in a few minutes, everyone will get to see more inspiration about what our future in space looks like. And Dan and Kate, how are we looking for Starship's flight today?
Thanks, Chris. We are looking forward to those views as well. In fact, we're getting ready to launch Starship in just over 8 minutes. Now, as for a couple status updates, working no major issues on the vehicle. Range is emerald green, you could say. Everything looks great in terms of the sea and airspace here in the Gulf of America, as well as in the Indian Ocean. Of course, we want to make sure both areas are clear as the ship will be splashing down in the Indian Ocean while the booster is going to be coming back to us at the launch site just a couple miles behind Dan and I. Weather, you could call it a silver lining that we had to delay from Monday, because holy moly, visibility is 1,000 times better today, and it's going to make for some really great views. Now, leading up to today, we did stack the vehicle later last night. Flight controllers reported to their consoles earlier today. The site was cleared and the range team was deployed.
That's right. And a lot of checkouts have happened just throughout the day, aligning our guidance, navigation, control, getting all the tanks ready for prop load, which has about 4 minutes left to go. You can see us almost topping out on ship, getting ready to top out on booster. And then it also includes getting all the ground support systems checked out, ready to go. Chopsticks were demated, did their wiggle test in advance of their upcoming catch opportunity. So as I just said, prop load's ongoing. We've got a little over about 4 minutes left until, or about 4 minutes. What's 7 minus 4? 4 minutes until we get to closeouts on ship and on booster. We did just hear that the range did pull again green. So we're not tracking any issues right now. Bottom line, things are looking great for launch at the top of our window at 5:30 p.m. Central Time.
Yeah, very exciting. Now, once again, we are attempting to catch the booster at the launch tower. If that happens today, it will be the 3rd ever booster catch. This is an aspect that I really enjoy, and it's how the vehicle announces that it is back.
It lets you know.
Oh, yeah. This comes in an audible sonic boom in the area around the return location, which occur when the booster slows down from traveling at supersonic speeds. Similar sonic booms were heard during the return and landing of NASA's space shuttle.
Yes, sonic booms are unique to vehicles returning from space. They're kind of a hallmark of reusable systems like our Falcon 9 rocket and Falcon Heavy. General impact to those in the surrounding area is that brief thunder-like noise. I've been fortunate enough to be here for all of them so far. They definitely let you know the vehicle's coming. Here's a little bit about what it's like to experience it.
I'm going to take a second here. We've seen this last time. We've seen a lot of this stuff. They're kind of doing a replay because they're literally, there's like a redo of Flight 7. But I just wanted to let you guys know, to notice that our clocks are going to be a little bit different. That's because we are obviously bringing in the X-Stream so you guys can experience it. And then we have to re-encode it and send it back out to the internet. So there's another 20-second delay or whatever it is. So you'll notice that our two clocks aren't necessarily in line, but our video on the right is going to be in line with our T0. So once we get down to like T-minus 30 seconds or so, we're going to go full screen with all of our views. Since they're 4K, since they're the highest quality we can possibly muster up for you guys. And then we'll bring SpaceX back in kind of as it clears the pad and as we start to get on-camera views or on-rocket views, we'll bring those in for you guys. So I always suggest having like your own mission control with like tons of screens up. But do just be, the big reminder is if you are in South Padre Island, if you are seeing this, if you're looking at Starship with your own eyeballs and you're hearing my voice, don't forget at about T-minus 1 minute, start staring at Starship because there is quite a bit of delay. Definitely by T-minus like 45 seconds, be just staring glued to Starship because you don't want to miss it because you're late. And of course the sound takes quite a while to be able to hit, where you're at from 5 miles away, from 8 kilometers away. It takes a good amount of time. So those are kind of my warnings, my heads up. Let's listen back in. And like I said, we'll kind of be having to play around here a little bit, but let's go, baby. Things are looking fantastic. Oh, did they stop talking now?
And then about 30 seconds later on booster. Once prop load is complete, we got just shy of 1 million pounds of liquid propellant, that's liquid oxygen, liquid methane, onto both vehicles. All of our ground systems will do what's called pushbacks. They'll clear all those feed lines. We're not continuously replenishing the propellant on board Starship or Super Heavy. That's why we essentially have several minutes where we can hang out at that T-minus 40 hold point before we start to run into issues with temperatures or just those LOX levels, or that LOX level on the booster is one of the main things that we watch. So
this drone shot's incredible.
We're also going to do a couple of final checkouts. We'll do one final one of the thrust vector control, the TVCs on the booster. We'll see them hopefully do a little bit of a wiggle test. The first one comes at about 1:40 before launch, and then the last one comes right as we pass that T-minus 40 gate. Again, if we need to hold, which we held a couple of times on Monday, we can do so at that T-minus 40 We're not currently tracking any issues that would hold us there, but if we do run into that, we can hang out for a couple minutes.
That would be the point in the countdown, as we mentioned on Monday. That T-minus 40 point is when we can pause to hold for final checkouts or pressurizations if necessary. But once we pass that T-minus 40 mark, a number of things are going to occur in rapid succession. The ground spin and ignition systems will come up to flight pressure. The ship goes to internal power. And after that, the quick disconnect or QD arm lockout, that's removed in preparation for retraction shortly after T0. Once we pass T-minus 40 seconds, as we saw on Monday, we had the ability to recycle the count under certain conditions back to that T-minus 40 second mark and hold there to assess what happened and if we're able to proceed to T0.
And like we said, that we can hang out at T-minus 40 for several minutes before we start running into some limits, essentially, on our propellant on board. There are a couple of other things, like if we pass the T-minus 10 point and the water starts to flow in that flame deflector and we scrub, that's automatic scrub for the day. Oh, there's our TVC, our thrust vector control checkout. It's got a little bit of a wiggle there on those inner Raptor engines, those 13 inner ones, which are going to be used for that boost back burn and the landing burn. So cool to see those.
Yeah, I love that shot. We don't have that on Falcon, and it's just so cool to see really the business end of the Super Heavy booster.
All right, guys. So I'm going to still listen in here and make sure I'm not missing anything. And I'm going to let you guys know that we are clearing the T-minus 40 mark here. But once we know for sure, I'm going to be watching our clocks. We're getting close. It's looking like they're going for it here. So the first thing we're going to look for is the water deluge. And once we have that, then that will be a sign that they're going. That will happen around T-minus 10 seconds. So we're hopefully only about 10 seconds away. Well, again, if you're watching in real life, you better be looking. You better have already been looking by now. Okay, they are holding at. They're holding. But maybe it's not for long. Give us a second. So they're holding at the T40. Let's make sure we have their SpaceX audio in. And it's moving. Here we go. Okay, our clock's going to be off for a little bit, but wish us luck. Here we go, guys. We should hopefully be seeing water deluge going. Here we go. Look at that. It looks like all 33 engines are good, though. Oh, yeah. Here we go. Look at those engines. All 33 Raptor engines burning perfectly. Look at that tracking shot from Ryan. Fantastic. Oh, look at that exhaust trail, how long it goes. beautiful day for a launch. The world's most powerful rocket. Again, this is the second test flight of the version 2 of Starship. So let's listen into SpaceX here.
All right, so we're through max Q. That's the heaviest stresses. It's kind of seeing on the way up. Wow, that was pretty incredible.
I'm still recovering. That was amazing. Beautiful views of the vehicle on ascent, pitching downrange away from the launch tower.
Next thing coming up is hot staging. So we're going to look for 6 engines to ignite on ship while we're still attached to the top of the booster. We'll see all but those 3 center engines shut down on booster.
We're hearing the initial call that we are go for booster catch back here at the launch tower.
That's good. All right, we're coming up on staging here.
Coming up now on hot staging. The ship's engines will ignite while still attached to the Super Heavy booster, and also while Super Heavy booster will still be under power itself.
Okay, you can see most engine cutoff there and hot staging
together are
camera
going to
on the
release.
right.
And Starship second stage engines
Booster
will
engine
ignite.
cutoff.
And look at that boost back burn.
Ship engine startup.
Okay, come on, ship.
Stage separation.
Do a better job this time.
Boost back burn startup.
There we go. Ship engines, all 6 Raptors ignited. We're doing that boost back burn. Looks like we got 11 of the 13 that we command for that, so that's going to start sending the booster back. We are still go for booster return, even with 2 Raptors out during that boost back.
Yeah,
we can do a full duration one. But
Raptors
looks like we got
went
a
out.
ship, 6 engines heading into space, and then we got a booster hopefully on our way back to Starbase. How's everything going in Hawthorne, Chris?
Everything is looking good. The crowd eagerly followed that ascent and now watching the booster coming back. So as you can see on the left-hand side of your screen here, that is ship continuing, and that's a great view of ship continuing on its way to space. They're looking, that's inside the camera, inside the outskirt, looking at the Raptor vacuum and the sea level engines. The sea level ones there in the center of your screen under our T+ clock. You can see our boost back burn. We're down to 3 engines on the boost back burn. And you can see ship on the right-hand side of that telemetry with 6 engines lit, continuing its ascent to orbit, already over 100 kilometers in altitude. The booster 87 kilometers in altitude and continuing its trek right now back to the landing site and catch site. There's a
shutdown.
And we just heard a good call out for boost back shutdown. The next thing we should see on our screen is the separation of the hot stage from the Super Heavy booster. We jettisoned that because we do not need it for the landing, but on future iterations of the Super Heavy, that hot stage ring will be incorporated into the booster and we will get it back. But for today, you can see it on the right-hand side of your screen there, just separating off from the right-hand side of the booster. You can also see the booster doing its liquid oxygen dump there, which is exactly what we would expect for it to do as the booster gets itself configured for the landing here. Now, meanwhile, Starship will continue to coast after it reaches orbit for about 40 minutes or so up to an altitude of 214 kilometers, but it's still got a ways to go there, currently accelerating past 7,500 kilometers per hour there in velocity. And just look at those great views of the booster coming back. The Gulf coastline there just looks absolutely gorgeous.
Starship is on a nominal trajectory.
And there we hear nominal trajectories all around. And Dan and Kate, we're at 5 minutes, 15 seconds here into the flight. Everything looking good for the Super Heavy and for Starship today. What's it like there at Starbase as we get ready to catch?
Wow.
It was incredible, Chris, to be able to see the mock diamonds with my own eyes. That was amazing. We are standing by for return of booster back to the launch tower. We have heard that we are go for the catch of the booster.
Yeah, this coming from one of our long-range tracking cameras, we're able to see the hot stage separate and fly away.
Oh.
So coming up in just about 30 seconds, we're going to look for the landing burn. We're going to command
Raptor, chamber pushes
those
nominal.
13 inner and middle ring engines to turn on. 13 initially, they bleed off all of that velocity as we're slowing down from supersonic speeds.
Look at that.
Eventually moding down to only 3 engines for that precision flight into the tower.
Screaming.
Right now, booster using its 4 hypersonic grid fins to help guide itself through this atmospheric entry back for its
Ryan
precision
nailed that
landing
tracking.
at the launch site. Once again, we're going to ignite first the center 13 engines. We should see that coming up here
Landing burn
momentarily.
startup.
Engines in startup.
This is going to come down to 3 engines as the booster slows down for its landing.
Holy crap.
And we just heard the sonic boom.
That looks so controlled.
What an incredible sight to see the super heavy
Oh my
booster
gosh.
gliding down
Booster
into the
landing burn
chopstick
shutdown.
arms once again.
Oh, look at the SpaceX feed too. Look at that.
Stuck the landing.
Wow.
Wow. That will
Oh.
never get old.
All right.
Wow.
We saw 12 out of 13 light for that landing burn. Booster still able to make its way with that final precision burn on the 3 engines in for the tower
did it do
catch. So
that?
booster caught. Meanwhile, keeping an eye on ship. Still got 6 Raptors
still good.
burning. Those are going to continue for about another minute until we'll get to the Starship engine cutoff. Really cool view. Again,
Wow.
a million shout outs to all of our avionics team who make these cameras possible for us. That's looking right down inside essentially the skirt area of ship, where you can see a pretty good view of all 6 Raptors, especially those 3 inner ones, one of which we're going to hopefully relight a little bit later.
Uh-oh. No, no, no.
And we just saw some
No!
engines go out. It
What
looks like
the
we are
heck?
losing attitude control of the ship.
No. SpaceX full screen, guys. Thank you. No way. No way.
Ship FTS
Of
is
course it
saved.
can't.
So we're
It saved
still
a-
getting video down from the ship. You can see we've lost several engines and we've lost attitude control of the vehicle.
Why isn't it shutting down those 2 vacuum engines? And they boomed it. Guarantee they just had. Oh, no.
So we'll continue to stick with it.
Man.
For those of you that just recently joined us, we had a successful liftoff of the 8th test flight of Starship, followed by a successful stage separation. We saw the booster, actually, you can see it just behind us here. The booster had a successful catch back at the tower. Unfortunately, it seems as though we lost the attitude control of the ship. We are standing by as we listen in with the teams on the nets to understand what information we're able to provide you. We will provide that as soon as we are able, but it's pretty incredible to take a moment and see the booster just behind us. Certainly
Yeah.
a different view than last time.
And at this point, we've essentially lost contact with the ship. We're no longer receiving telemetry at this moment. So we were only about 20 seconds away or so from the end of that ship ascent burn. We saw several of the engines start to cut out. Once you lose enough of those center engines, you're going to lose attitude control. And so we did see the ship start to go into a spin. And at this point, we have lost contact with the ship. So we're going to listen in for a little bit. I think it's pretty obvious we're not going to continue the rest of the mission today, but just give us a couple more minutes. We'll bring you more information as it comes in.
That's crazy. Man, I did not see that coming. I thought for sure they would have figured out what happened with the first version 2 ship. That's not great. But the one thing to keep in mind, of course, you know, with especially when you're talking about a vehicle like this, it's in its, you know, iteration process. It's as, you know, these are prototypes, is that they literally have a manufacturing facility right there. They have a line of these things waiting to fly and to make tweaks. And hopefully they get very quickly figured out what's going on here, because that's not looking good, though. I would have expected by the second one they would have figured it out. This is the third time a ship will have had to blow up, you know, near the end of its burn. Because we had flight 2? They terminated the booster or the ship. Then flight 7, now flight 8. Ship is not quite living up to it's crazy. The one with the fewer engines, you know, with only 6 engines has been having the problems. And here booster with 33 engines, they also had 2 shut down on, you know, on boost back burn, or not restart on boost back burn. Maybe they need to kind of just take a deep breath here and give us all a little, you know, they're so quick in this iteration process, but at some point, if you're not able to move forward because you're just screaming to get the next one out, maybe you do need to take a breath and, you know, go over everything a little bit more slowly, just to make sure that you're not holding yourselves back by just making mistakes. So who knows what they're going to learn from this one, but it's not the outcome that I had imagined today. This is not what I had pictured happening today. That's actually kind of crazy. I thought we'd definitely see a successful second stage burn today. So we'll keep SpaceX audio in for you guys. So as soon as they hear anything, you'll hear it. But we'll just kind of keep our view here of booster, which again, congrats on another successful catch. They certainly know how to do that. They certainly have proven that point that they figured that one out. Man, that's just a bummer though. Wow. Yeah, maybe we just skip right to the next one, man. How about while we have this time, because we got a decent amount of time now until we figure stuff out. I've got a lot of questions and stuff to answer. Yeah, man, this just is hard. All right, Gabu, what happened to John? Oh, here we go.
All right, so coming back with you real quick. So can confirm we did lose contact with the ship. Unfortunately, this happened last time too, so we've got some practice at this now. We've got a lot of measures in place, like debris response areas where we coordinate very closely with air traffic control. We have a lot of measures put before we ever launch a rocket to make sure that we're keeping the public safe. Those worked last time, and they're actively in work right now. So just to recap real quick, everything we saw, we lifted off right at the top of our window, essentially at 5:30 p.m. Central Time. Booster was able to get us all the way up into space, made its way back here. It's sitting on the tower right behind us, our third ever catch. Starship ignited all 6 of its Raptor engines. It was just about 20 or 30 seconds away. We'll get exact times from the end of its ascent burn when we started to see some engines go out on ship, eventually lost attitude control, and then lost contact with the ship shortly after. So obviously a lot to go through, a lot to dig through. We're going to go right at it. The primary reason we do these flight tests is to learn. We have some more to learn about this vehicle, but we're going to be right back here in the not too distant future, and we're going to get a ship to space.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We fly to learn, and we're learning a lot. And as is the case with developmental programs such as the Starship program, progress isn't always linear. So at this point, we're going to close out our webcast for the day. But before we do, we'd like to give a shout out to our viewers, of course, as well as our partners, both here in Cameron County and around the world. Now, once we know more about the mission today, we'll provide you with updates on SpaceX.com as well as at SpaceX on X. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
All right. Well, again, not the outcome that I had pictured today, guys. Oh man, we're gonna leave you guys with some views while I answer some of your questions. We're also gonna work on trying to pull up a few we'll pull up a few things here. Actually, if I don't know if anyone in our production trailer right now has access to our Discord channel, but Discord is doing an awesome job of bringing in some footage. But we should probably make sure we have that ability next time just to be able to easily drop it in. But we have shots of it being detonated off the coast of Florida. Now, don't forget, someone was asking how far did this go? You know, it probably didn't even get anywhere near the Atlantic yet. It's still in the Gulf. And you'll notice that, you know, the difference between that last 20 seconds is crazy. It goes from like, you know, that line of its trajectory increases so quickly near the end of a burn. It goes from like completely suborbital within like 5 seconds to go from suborbital to completely orbital. So that line moves very quickly from the trajectory being just in the Gulf into the Atlantic into like off the coast of Africa to Africa potentially. That's the scary thing, is if this thing did fail like at just the last second or two, it would likely re-enter over Africa. But it's a very small little window there where that's an option. Man. Well, let's I'm gonna try and get to some of your questions here. This is an AI robot from segment 9 telling you that I tried to launch a career in space exploration, but I kept getting stuck in the cloud. Oh, that's good, actually. That's funny. From Daniel Gardonia saying, thanks, Mark Rober, for the wonderful commentary. I'm excited. I think he's gonna have his video coming out soon. In the next couple months about SACUS. And I think I'll hopefully be in that video a little bit, which would be fun to see how many people put together the whole, everyone thinks that it was him asking Elon those questions in one of my Starbase tours a while ago going, no, that's Mark Rober. It's like, no, that is me. Silence Do Good. Thank you so much for becoming a member. Matt Schroeder, thanks, Tim. Fingers crossed from Canada. Oh, no. Julian, thank you so much for becoming a member. And Pizza Guy, you guys are awesome. Lucian, I think you were seeing the red pipes. I think those are new portions of the ground support. Actually, maybe if Mr. T is still up and operating, we can still see some of those red pipes that they're talking about. Oh, Mr. T went down. Our pad cameras went down, unfortunately. That's too bad. Thank you so much, Snelly, for becoming a member. It's called X. You're right. I always forget. It's about every other for me. Trinity, I love space as a kid, and your coverage got me into studying aerospace engineering here in Germany. Writing my thesis right now. Thank you, Tim. Do I think they'll ever try and catch a Falcon 9? No, there's no reason for them to put any more research and development into the Falcon 9. They're all in on Starship. Once Starship's flying, it'll absolutely make Falcon 9. Once it's operational, it'll make Falcon 9 obsolete. So, sunk cost fallacy, no more development on Falcon 9, just all in on Starship. We've got a cool little video here from X that we're going to show on air here of Starship tumbling out of control, it looks like, and then detonating, I believe. That's crazy that from Florida you can see this. Wow, that's going to confuse a lot of people. That's going to confuse a lot of people. Wow. I bet we're going to see some crazy videos. Rapid Thrash, thoughts on calling it other worlds like Venus in addition to Mars and the Moon? I think eventually our species, if we have the right technology, should be able to explore and live anywhere. But Venus is a very hard one. It definitely would have to be a cloud city, which would be super cool, but also still have super big challenges. Elijah Snow, are you aware of any company working on the HODL-style air-breathing engine? I'm curious if anyone revisited that system. I'm trying to think of who would be working on that. I think there was. Well, now the Saber's done. Is that what we're talking about? Yeah, the Saber's done. The closest thing would probably be, what's that company? Not Boom, but the other one doing hypersonics. Who is that? Hermeus. Hermeus would probably be the closest thing to that. Brad Speed, our SpaceX, by the way, you can tell it is venting now. That's normal. They're just detanking, basically. Going to recover the ship from the ocean floor. Unfortunately, this would no longer be the ocean floor. This will be the Gulf floor, the Gulf of America floor, I guess. The broke audio file. Character, thank you so much for that. Greatly appreciate it. I just love cars. Tim, I've messaged you 6 years ago when you're in Florida and asked you what you're using for internet connection back in 2019. You read my message out loud, and it's such a cool moment. Still your fan. Well, thank you so much. I just love cars. That's awesome. Thank you for sticking around and really appreciate that. John Dapker, good. It's 39 months. Oh, hey, only seems like yesterday when I signed up. And I love Apollo video. Well, thank you so much, John. I really appreciate it. And I love seeing your name. You've been around for a while, as that shows. Thank you so much to Swistco for becoming a member. So I'm just trying to kind of fly through these ones so we can get to the relevant questions of what's happening and what did happen. Thank you so much, Richard. Greatly appreciate it. We've got some new memberships from Steve, Iron Meme, and thank you, Wisco, or however you say it. Sorry, Squallblot. If we use the Boring Company to get it to put a sausage in the Earth's core, can we make an Earth hot dog? Yes, we can. Awesome. Wearing a Methalox shirt. Love it. Watching with my dad. Big fan since day one. Louise Ray became a member. Thank you so much. Same with KCRS. Hey guys, sorry if I didn't mean to cause a whole nother pandemonium in the chat. I'm just going to continue calling it the Gulf, which I've pretty much always called it my whole life. No comment. What are your thoughts on the Skyhook? Because I mean, Skyhook actually has a lot of problems. I should make a video on why Skyhook is maybe not as simple as people seem to make it be. Nate Saunders, thank you so much. Greatly appreciate that. Tylenol says, how much weight does the booster lose by the time it clears the tower? My guess is quite a bit. I would guess it's a few thousand tons. Wait, not 1,000 tons. Several thousand kilograms. I mean, probably, I don't know, like 10 or 15 or 20. I don't know, 20 tons. We could probably do the math on flow rates of the Raptor engines, how much time they're running. Yeah, we can figure that out. Not on air. I'd make a mess and I'd make a mistake. William Keene, thank you so much. And thank you, Pierre, as well. Nathan Lewis, KCRS, thank you so much for saying that. I really appreciate you being around. What changed with the flaps? So the biggest thing, I made a video about what's new and different with the upgraded Starship. Oh man, holy crap! Hold on, was this another video of? Hang on. Whoa, raining debris again. Another raining debris moment in the Gulf. That's sad. That's sad that this is okay. All right. Was that Spencer or Andrew telling me? Okay. For some reason I couldn't tell. Again, I got to send this to our producer Spencer, who is going to put it on air right here. Next, send this. There you go. Okay, that's crazy. Yeah, we're just seeing debris again raining down in the Gulf. Not ideal. That's crazy. I did not imagine that was going to happen. This is from D. O'Connell. Tim, love the Apollo video. Dumb question. Did you consider that some of the Saturn V upper stages are still in space as evidence, or does that just prove the launch and not the landing? Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things like that. Like a lot of people were like, hey, why didn't you include the laser reflectors that are on the moon placed by the Apollo astronauts? My answer to that is that's not really proof that anyone did anything. You could put a laser reflector on with an uncrewed mission, right? So it doesn't really necessarily prove anything, unfortunately. That's why I really try to do things that had verifiable evidence, like via other means. You know what I mean? So yeah, I did think about that, and the fact that they crashed a lot of the S4Bs into the moon to be able to do tests about resonant frequencies and moonquakes, basically. Yeah, it's a lot of fast. I could have made that video twice as long, easily. Oh, they're already lowering. They appear to already be lowering the booster. So they're getting this part figured out. Can we see the bottom? Yeah, let's track the bottom of the booster so we can just watch it like lower in reference to something, because right now it's just floating in space and we don't really have a good reference for it compared to anything else. Maybe this could be offset so we can see the tower on the left and we can see segments of the tower moving instead of just something. Oh yeah, you can see it. They are lowering it already. That's pretty crazy. So William wants to know, when do they plan on integrating Raptor 3? We don't really know. We're gonna pull up another debris video that was posted on X. Who is this from? This was from This is from user Jonathan Norcross at Norcross USA. Wow, that's not good. We can't keep doing this. That's going to be the FAA. I don't care who's in charge. Is at some point going to be like, you can't keep blowing these things up and, you know, interrupting air traffic and stuff. That's, dang it. It's not great. Did they stop moving it down? It kind of looks like maybe they did, or is it just really slow? Huh. Anyway, oh, this is from PKP4L or I or something. Thank you so much. I don't know how I missed this. Why not have the Starship do a soft water landing off the coast of Starbase instead of halfway across the globe before attempting the catch? The big reason is if they have it do a soft water landing off Starbase and do it once around, you're still overflying populated areas and re-entering overpopulated areas. The way that they're doing it now, they're minimizing population overflying of Starship, period. So right now, it doesn't matter if, you know, if it lands here or there, that the important thing is the data on board. It's not, you know, the hardware. They don't really care about the hardware per se. They really care about the data on board and what they're going to learn on that particular mission. So if they splash down in the Gulf, who cares? You know, they're going to get the same result, the same amount of data versus if they splash down in the Indian Ocean. Only now they overflew a good amount of Mexico and the United States on reentry, which is dangerous. That's the big reason why. Thank you so much for that very generous super chat. I'm sorry that I missed it. Sean Dallas, yes, I believe there's one engine being reused on this launch. Jeff Rowe, thank you so much for 55 months of membership. Alan V. Diaz, this is the first launch that I worked. So exciting. I'm sorry that the first launch you worked was not a splashing success. And again, we do have flight diversions happening again in the Gulf. This is not great. This just gives people fodder to want, you know, to stricten up these launches. Man, from H2 LLI, thank you, Tim, and your team for extraordinary work. Any idea how a future human-rated Starship could solve the emergency escape at a launch or later? So I did a whole video about this, actually. Does Starship need a launch abort system? And I came to the conclusion that with enough data, you wouldn't necessarily need it. But with seeing stuff like this, you know, I mean, obviously, again, this is just very early iterations. If this thing's flown 400 times, it's different. Flown 400 times successfully, it's different. But I still always think with a human on board, if something goes wrong, yeah, I think you like to be able to get out of there. So from George, thank you so much. From Under Pressure, do you think they will ever try pulling the legs off of Falcon 9 and doing catch maneuvers? So I did just answer that a little bit ago. Sorry that I missed it. No, I don't. They're done. You know, Falcon 9 is more or less done iterating. Very small tweaks, nothing major like that, because they're going all in on Starship. I think it'd be so interesting for you to do a tour of the setup. Yes, we will do a tour of our setup for sure soon. Thank you so much again, KCRS. Greatly appreciate it. Nathan, yeah, I'll do 30% off if the ship survives. Oh, wow. Kelster, thank you so much. Jocelyn, thank you so much again. Teresa, Space Girl from Bremen, Germany here. Love your content and all the cool everyday astronaut stuff. Any updates on plans for a warehouse in Europe? No updates. I want to follow up on that now that I've got a little bit more mindset to be able to do that kind of stuff. Now that we're no longer working on the Apollo video. IKBE Ben Lars. IK Ben Lars. Are there alternative orbital routes planned for better catch, landing, retrieval of Starship, or is it a case of staying in orbit longer? There's no really other orbital routes they have a very strict corridor flying from Starbase, so they can't really hit too many trajectories, too many orbital inclinations from Starbase. So they're going to basically be flying this corridor for quite a while. Griffin Motorsports, I do think will get a launch today. Christopher, someday we'll probably do some reprints of a few popular ones. Falcon says no cameras on dummy payload. Maybe next. Thank you so much again to all of you that supported. I'm sorry that I'm kind of rushing through here. I actually really had to go to the bathroom. I couldn't take a break, but I'm just trying to power through it. Thank you so much, Serial Hobbyist. Greatly appreciate that. Adam, thank you so much for that. Eric, or Intuitive's means could redesign the lander. Cool. Nate Anderson. Actually, I'm going to take a quick break. Can we just go full screen? I realize I've got a long ways to go to be able to catch up with all these, and I actually want to slow down and answer questions. So I'll be right back, guys. Just give me 1 minute. Okay, much better. I've been holding it since like before launch. So now I can slow down, answer a few more questions. Thank you guys for sticking it out. Ma Deeps says, thoughts on using Mars as a refueling stop to gain access to the minerals in the asteroid belt, given its lower delta V to launch from there, i.e. it's close, less atmosphere, lower gravity. So maybe eventually, so ISRU would be sick, having in situ resource utilization is what ISRU stands for. So basically be able to, manufacture, materials on, and propellant on another planet, or it really just means in situ, wherever you're at. So you could do in situ resource utilization there at Starbase, produce methane through the Sabatier process by pulling carbon out of the atmosphere, and electrolysis in the water. You produce your oxygen, your hydrogen. You combine the hydrogen with carbon. You make CH4. I think eventually, sure, eventually whatever is the easiest will win out. Whatever is actually the most economical will win out. And if someday we're really doing a ton, like let's say an insane amount of asteroid mining, and the cost of propellant really becomes a driving factor, and we have a colony on Mars with a propellant factory, maybe it's not a big deal just to refuel and top off there. But that's very far in the future. I think that's 100 years away. From George Tushev, Tim, I can fly a Blackmagic camera on a drone. I'm a pro pilot and videographer. Let me know if you have a use for these services, please. Well, thank you so much, George, and thank you, Georgie, and thank you for saying hi. Unfortunately, we have some people that have flown with us down at Starbase, and our friends at Rotor Visual, Ben and Chad have done a few of those, but unfortunately, even they'll shoot with a pretty long lens. We got to fly pretty far away. The exclusion zone is pretty far, and I might take you up on that though if we need additional services though. That's I greatly appreciate you letting me know. We're gonna keep pulling up a few more videos here too. Thank you so much, WC. And from Connor for becoming a member. From Random Space Junk, thank you so much for contributing to the snack fund, the Tim Dodd Snack Fund. That will always come in handy. From Kelster, please restock the orange space shuttle ejection suit hoodie. I need to buy 3 large, but it's out of stock. I'll talk to the shop. I'll see. We were kind of phasing that one out, but we'll see. Just makes you go to show when you see things like the Apollo hoodies. You might not care about it now, but all of a sudden when it's gone, you might go, oh no, I should have got them. Just letting you know. Someone exchangeable. Thanks for the mods' hard work. Much nicer atmosphere on the stream than the last one. Yes, thank you, mods. The mods did an amazing job today. I'm so proud that the chat too, that you guys kept it more or less, on topic, talking about what we're talking about. Very, very cool stuff today. That we're still able to witness this stuff live in person, see a booster be caught. Very sad that we're still seeing a Starship blow up. Yeah, crazy. I can't get over that. I'm curious what we're going to learn from this one. Mad Dog, that flickering effect when the engines are firing on the launch mount, is that a product of the video frame rate or is it a visible phenomenon in real life? I think that's a product of the video frame rate. And something with, I think it's mostly the fact that the engines are shaking, or the camera's shaking so much inside of its housing that you're seeing really crazy like jello cam from rolling shutter. I think that's mostly what you're seeing. And then just something maybe with the way that lines up too with like the hertz, but I'm not entirely sure if that's what it is, but it's not. I don't think that'd be visible in real life to the naked eye. Yed514, thank you so much. Flist88, do you think Starlink can be sent to the moon to help communication blackouts? I do. I think absolutely that's going to be I'm actually surprised that hasn't been fully solicited yet for the Artemis program, to be able to send, all you need is, 3 Starlinks, make it so they're, you could just put them in a polar orbit, kind of like the near rectilinear halo orbit, keep it so it's all facing the Earth, and you could, you could end up with or even just anywhere. You could easily end up with no blackouts on the moon with very few Starlinks dedicated to that goal. And if it's only, 3 or 4 Starlinks or something, don't forget, you could also fly that pretty easily, probably with, maybe an expanded Falcon 9 or with a Falcon Heavy or something. It wouldn't be too much. So yes, again, thank you so much to the mods. And Chris Smith, thank you for thanking the mods. They really came in handy today, and I'm much happier with the stream today. You guys and all of you watching are awesome. Jose Miguel, please tell us about the requirements for potable water instead of using non-potable water. That I don't know about. I'm very far away from any knowledge on the environmental aspects, and I don't know why potable or potable, however you can say it. I've only ever read it. Potable versus non-potable, or potable. Probably potable. Maybe they mean like putting it in a pot and using it for cooking. I don't know. Maybe someone has the answer to that. I'll keep my eyes open in chat. I've been with you since 2019 and loving it. Starship plans to return to tower, catch from the west. What is the plan for Mechzilla, which seems to be tooled for catching from the east? So the big thing is, by the time Starship's belly flopping, it's basically coming straight down. So it's really easy. I mean, like, it's literally at the end of its burn, falling completely straight down, or not burn, but by the end of reentry, once it's between supersonic and subsonic, from Mach 3 and below, it's probably more or less falling completely belly flop. So to be able to just kind of make that go out and beyond and kind of come back is no big deal. We're talking from at altitude, if you're 50,000 meters, or 50 kilometers, 30,000, wait, what would that be? And going from 150,000 feet, very little correction up there can send you way out over, and then you can just kind of glide back in and do the final burn. The big thing is you could literally be on top of the tower, do the flip. The flip maneuver itself will put you on the side of the arms and then just back into them. I mean, I think that's really not that big of a deal, honestly. Oh man, I also want to say real quick on the topic of mods, we did need to bring this up, that our biggest moderator lately has been Moondust Lisa, who's been helping out for years and years and years and years and years. Lisa, thank you so much for your help. But she's been just kind of always in the background, staying up very late, over there in the UK. So everyone, special thanks not only to all of our mods, but also Moondust Lisa, because she's been putting in the extra work. So thank you so much. Does not go unnoticed. From Lakota, let's do this, my fellow space nerds. You rock, Tim. Thank you so much, Lakota. Greatly, greatly appreciate it. Nate Iverson, thank you so much. Tyler Parker, Tim, the moon video is a masterpiece. I've shown it to anyone who will listen. So glad I found your channel. Well, thank you so much, Tyler. Really, really appreciate that. Killa or Kyla, the fact that you can see it spinning out of control as well in crystal HD quality because of Starlink is insane as well. That is what's nuts, is that even though it's tumbling, they have enough Starlink receivers and enough Starlink satellites out there to be able to get it from almost any orientation. Pretty crazy, and that will probably help a lot in determining root causes of things when they can continue to transmit. So from Jordan Shaw, my guess was 6.5 out of 10. I think that was about a 6.5. I think that's maybe even like a 6 or a 5.5, but I think you're pretty darn close, Jordan. That's funny. Chow, I hope not. I hope that they can learn from this. I am Dracarys. Thank you so much for your chat, your donation. Yeah, so Binky Boo says, we all see this as a Starship failure. SpaceX views this as a learning opportunity. I think this one in particular, when it's more or less a repeat of the last failure, and at this point in Starship, I know that it's not as big of a deal as we might think, but I really think this will sting pretty bad just because it's not what they wanted to see. They should be beyond that by now, and I'm sure they're going to be scratching some heads trying to figure it out. Man, crazy. Cynical Chaos, Tim, the Mars team and their placement of cameras captured the audio of ignition and launch. It was great. Yes, fantastic work. So yeah, unfortunately, I think you probably noticed that all of a sudden we lost audio, I think, from the pad, probably when we lost connections to all of our pad assets. So it's a really hard balance because our next closest microphones are about 1.5 miles away, 2.5 kilometers. So it takes them a good 10 or 15 seconds to get audio. So there's a crossover where, like, I talk over it for a little bit because you never know what the audio is going to do. Next time, maybe I won't talk until we get that crisp audio. But if you want to hear the audio, here's what I don't quite understand. If you want to hear the audio, the Starship sounds the same now. If you're listening to a live stream for the audio of the rocket, you're kind of listening to the wrong thing. We want it to be as good as possible, of course. But obviously, like our long form, our recut videos that we make are a lot higher quality than that. So if you want the audio, just listen to that. That's my opinion. Let's see. So I guess we're actually going to run a few replays here while I continue to talk. So the replay's on the left, so we can kind of start watching a few of these, which is really cool. Thank you again, Black Magic, for making an amazing replay system so we can actually watch stuff and this is probably slowed down, right? Halftime, or is this real time? That appears to be, that's 50% speed. That's real time? That looks so fast. I mean, so slow. Beautiful shot, though. I love that zoom out shot. And then the punch back in. From Trade Ravis, tired of the Elon bashing. This is about the future of humanity in the golden age of spaceflight. SpaceX will nail this very soon. Booster catch alone is a massive feat in and of itself. Thanks for all you do, Tim. Thank you, Trey, and thank you so much for your generous donation. Like I said, we're here to witness history. We're here to watch the learnings in real time together, and I'm so proud of our team for being able to produce content like this, and I'm so proud of SpaceX for being able to do this stuff so frequently that we kind of forget how hard this stuff is. Yeah, and I personally really wish, I know that everyone has their own wishes for other people. I wish that Elon would focus on this stuff again, because it was really inspiring when I'd wake up and get on X, Twitter, whatever it was back in the day, and get online and just read all the things that we're learning, all these little tidbits about what they're learning at SpaceX, and all the little gleaming little bits of Raptor engines. Like, that's what got me really excited. And I just don't see that anymore. And it's fine, but it's just not what that's not what I'm there for. I want to learn about this stuff. This is what I care about. This is my passion and my career. This is what I love. And you could tell when Elon was spending his time at SpaceX how obsessed he was with it. And now he's just obviously very obsessed with other things. But I do miss those days. Kirian says progress compared to last launch, but still disappointing. But the chopstick catches are always cool. Chopstick catches are very cool. This one looked a little different too. It looked even like smoother. It looked almost like it just kind of came straight in. It didn't have to do a huge maneuver. It was very smooth. Fender 90 looks like that V2 name is cursed. I wonder why. Maybe skip to V3. Maybe sooner rather than later. Ah, interesting. There does appear to be a full-on crack in the Raptor vacuum engine. Visible. That does look like that's what happened. Dang. Looks like an RVAC might have had a crack. And then once you have a crack in the regen system like that, you have fuel spewing. You have an engine that can get starved of its coolant and blow up, which can then knock out other engines. Man, that's too bad. So yeah, Kronos also agrees with this exact same thing. Did we happen to record one of our 8 channels? Is that actually the X feed so we can replay the X feed too? Or is that replayable now? I forget on X. I don't remember if X does allow you to rewind. So we might want to check out some of those last shots ourselves as well after we're done with these replays. One of the last shots. Oh yeah, it is quite obvious that there's something glowing. Man, that's a good end. That's a good landing burn though. Let's watch from this vantage point though. You can see. So that's pretty normal, but I feel like they kind of straightened her out earlier this time. It just didn't look as dramatic, maybe. I don't know. It just looks so smooth. Look at that. That's crazy. Yeah. This is from Mahler Fan saying, watching with my space-obsessed daughter. Thanks for all you do. You're welcome. Thank you for saying hi and watching with your family. That's amazing. Greg, Scott Manley called a vac Raptor failure, taking out center ones on the way. Yep, I think that's exactly what seems to happen. That's exactly what appears to have happened. You can tell the antenna was getting knocked around on this replay, can't you? Dang, the dust was really bad today. I wonder if it's because they didn't static fire. Dang. That's pretty cool shot. But that does look worse than the normal as far as the dust goes. Good question asks, can ship use only methane flow at high pressures as impellers during separation without lighting up the rockets? Can ship use only methane flow at high pressures as impellers during separation without lighting up the rockets? I don't quite understand the rocket. I don't think so. It's actually just less efficient. Like there's a million ways you can cut up, taking the propellant and the high pressure propellant in any of the tanks. The most efficient thing you can do is run a Raptor engine. It's the literally full flow stage combustion cycle. Squeezes the most out of the propellants as humanly possible. So any kind of venting or any kind of if you have the option to run an engine, that's always what you want to do. Which is why they're doing the landing burn with Raptor engines as opposed to trying to do RCS for it, to flip it and all that kind of stuff. Just use the engines. Let's see. I am Dracarys. Looks like a software bug. I think this one was actually looks like a fire. Looks like a hardware boo-boo. Let's see. From thank you, CB Genesis. No, Elon SpaceX hate. We need more positive energy. I think just in general, I just I don't like hate in general. I like just being positive and cheering for people doing incredible work. So, and this is some really fascinating and incredible stuff. J-Bach, do you know if SpaceX conducts vibration testing while crowd testing? If not, why not? I think the environment in which you're crowd testing to be able to do any kind of shaking and stuff is just not going to be the same as running an engine is always going to be the biggest point there. There we go. So this is the replay on X. Yes, look on the bottom left Raptor engine. go back again. I think that was the last shot that we actually get. You can see it glowing red, and if you even look really closely, I don't know if we can zoom in on that at all. Probably not, but you can actually see almost a little split in the nozzle, it looks like. You can almost see right at the crack. Like that's where, because these are, oh, there you go. You're getting there. Don't forget, these are basically tubes these are regen tubes with propellant flowing through them. And you could actually have a crack, like this on the walls and split. And you can kind of see blue background right behind, where it looks like it kind of split. And then you can kind of see a little bit of blue behind it. That's at least what it appears to be. And that would very likely be the vacuum engine that failed first. Shoot. Ellie Perez, if you thank you so much. It's cool that you were able to capture it in Miami. Post it on social media and tag us, and maybe we'll be able to find it. Actually, I'd say probably tag Spencer Tedick. Spencer will probably have a better chance of seeing it, or Mary Liz Shalinsky or Andrew Taylor. Tag a lot of us. Let's see. Andrew Tay, Andrutay. Tag him and tag Spencer Tedick. Let's see. At just Spencer Tedick, which is Spencer at SpencerTetik. Tetik. That's Send it to them. And we'll keep our eyes open, and then maybe we'll be able to pull that up here on air. Thank you, though, for Eli for making us aware. Ex Kuga, thank you so much for 37 months of membership. Footy nut guy. It was aliens who done it. Absolutely, 100% had to have been aliens. Only explanation. Zachary Henson, thank you so much for becoming a member. P. Pennant, 15 months of membership. Amazing. Synthetic motion. I got a shot of it spiraling out of control on an 800 millimeter. Whoa. I'm excited to see that. I'll pay attention on X here for that. I bet that'll be pretty fascinating. Very cool. Nice friend says, landed a job at SpaceX in Boca Chica in December using a lot of your videos as interview study material. Thank you, Mr. Dodd. Thank you so much, nice friend. Very much appreciate that. Chazzy Mac, dude, he lies, YouTube. I've been around much longer. Yes, you have, Chazzy Mac, much longer. Hey, Tim, curious to see what they are dealing with. Larger transfer tube issues. I'm not sure. I mean, this one could have just been the first RVAC failure that we're seeing that just led to a cascading failure. Oh, man, it just makes you wonder, though, like, what do you do when an RVAC fails? Oh, man, it's complicated. It's complicated. Mind Tingles, just found your channel. Very intelligent guy. Do you think we'll beat China to the moon at the end of the 2020s? I don't think we'll beat China at the end of the moon if all of a sudden NASA decides that we're fully focused on going to Mars. I would hate to see us give up on the moon right now when we're finally landing commercial landers on the moon. We have the Artemis program kind of in flux and changing right now, but I would sure like to see us continue a vision for landing humans on the moon again while we're, making progress towards it. But I definitely think we have the chance of beating them to Mars. We already did beat them to the moon. But it's a matter of beating them again in the 21st century. Jack Dupis, what do I think about Firefly's carbon fiber rocket? I think it's really cool. I think Alpha's pretty fantastic. I'm really excited to see their medium launch vehicle. I've done a video about them. I've done videos with them, tours with them, interviews with them, live streamed. We were the official provider of the live stream of the second Alpha launch. Love Firefly. Just played a concert at their moon landing party on Saturday. Love those guys. Carbon fiber rocket's awesome. The largest carbon fiber rocket to fly to date. Neutron has the chance to beat that. It's an exciting time. Alexander Clark, thank you so much for becoming a member. Mr. Soft Banana, outer vacuum engine explodes, knocking out the 2 cent. That's got to be what it is. I mean, that clearly seems to be what it is. Kenny Stansberry, thank you for becoming a member. Chad, thank you so much. Wade Jackson, fair to say the ship is hard because of new tech. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Maybe this failure was even just something relatively mundane you know, if a RVAC fails, is that considered new tech, you know, or is it a failure because of the feed line? Is it a failure because of something specific to version 2s? We'll see. We'll see. Hopefully we learn sooner rather than later. Samuel Nathan Richards, for what is FYI, the closest HTOL is horizontal takeoff and landing is space engine systems with the DAS GNX engine and the Hello One and Hyperdrone platform scaling up spaceport at Cornwall, UK. Oh, that's awesome. I'm not familiar with this at all. So thank you very much, Samuel, for informing me. Kitty Donahue, I'm glad SpaceX got the booster basically figured out. Thanks for the coverage of the launch, even though it didn't quite work out this time. Thank you so much, Kitty, for 57 months of membership. That's huge. Thank you. Drake Richards, and for becoming a member. Frederick, I sent an iCloud link from Naples, Florida. We'll take a look for that. Thank you so much, Frederick. Let's see here. Lucas, I wonder if SpaceX can use Super Heavy as Falcon 9, as a Falcon 9, make fairings to the booster and start doing heavy launches. I mean, obviously, at any point, it'd be very easy for them to simplify the system, to make it so it's, you know, just throw on even a single vacuum Raptor engine or 2 or 3 or whatever it would take with no recovery hardware at all and make a simple expendable upper stage. That would be relatively easy in the grand scheme of things, but I just don't see them doing that. They're going to keep pushing until they get this figured out. Chad, man, I'm glad you got to experience it. It's all your fault. I got to witness Starship launch in person. What an experience. I'm still shaking. That booster sonic boom really can't be described. Keep on keeping on. Thank you so much, Chad. So glad you caught it. That's awesome. I got to meet Chad, who's been a long-time Discord member and Patreon supporter for a long time. Met him at Astro Awards. It was super fun. It's so fun to meet people that you've talked to for years and just haven't ever met in person. So, Chad, very happy for you. It would have been an amazing launch to catch with the clear skies that you had at a successful booster catch. So, congratulations. Amazing. Yeah, I did see that you can see on one of the feeds, you can see the screen of it blowing up. Thank you for that, Chad. Another different Chad. Jarrett Logan, thank you so much for becoming a member. TJ Prime, could SpaceX return the ship test similar to SN8, SN15? Fly the ship from pad to a couple dozen miles to iron out these kinks again. They could, but I think at this point, like, it's just as easy for them to just they learn more doing these full-scale launches. I mean, I don't see them needing to really go back. I would love to see that, though. Those hop tests like that were still some of my absolute favorite things ever. But at this point, every launch is still a learning opportunity. And they learn, you know, fueling operations. They learn catching and you know, reintegration and all of the things that they learn on all these. I don't think it makes sense for them to go backwards, really. And besides that, they don't actually even have a pad that can, I mean, they could maybe turn that one tower or out at Massey's, that static fire thing into I don't think that's meant to be a launch pad, though. You know, it would have to have a whole different system for hold down clamps and things like that. Jennifer A, thank you so much for becoming a member. And Soaring Beard, thank you so much. Got a picture of the second stage run over South Florida. Awesome, Soaring Beard. We will definitely keep an eye out. Although I'm working on oh man, I'm way behind. I'm flying through these and I'm way behind. Oh God. We'll keep an eye on it, though. I'll have our producers be pulling in any footage that they see. That's fun and interesting. Lucas, I wonder if SpaceX can use Super Heavy as a Falcon 9. Yeah, sorry. I already pushed that one. Where am I? I lost my place. The broke audio file. Good to hear from you again. Hi, Tim. A what if question. So far, everything has been completely automated, no human interaction, which is really cool. Do you think they'll start having a pilot just in case when people aren't aboard? No, I really think that if you design it from the beginning for just being completely autonomous and you really learned all the kinks, that is still the best way to go about things, is just to have an autonomous system that can make, you know, informed decisions. And especially, like, you can't, I mean, a pilot is amazing for being able to make, you know, decisions when things aren't going right. Eventually, though, I think like AI and stuff like that will literally be able to make a call on, oh no, we lost an engine, cut off all the other engines. We're going to try gliding this. Where's our best place to try to splash this down or whatever? there's just not much to pilot at this point, though, really. Good question, though. Richard Hay, watched the first video of you in a pressure suit many years ago, been a member ever since. Amazing videos. SpaceX knows it was an engine run. Okay, so they do already know that. Thank you so much, Richard Hay. I should probably just even have SpaceX pulled up. See if we actually get any official statements from them. Let's see here. All right, here. From Augie 2008. Love your videos. The Apollo one was awesome. Shame about today. Cheers from midnight in the UK. Congrats on staying up, man. And that shows how long it's been for me, too. I'm 30 minutes behind. Pedal Boy, as we've seen the switch from V1 to V2 of Starship, it feels like the Raptor has been very finicky. This could be ship plumbing or Raptor issue. Could this be ship plumbing? Yeah, I think it's, definitely a Raptor issue. Jennifer A, thanks for the video, Tim. Watching with my family. That is awesome, Jennifer. Thank you for that. And hi, hello, whole family. I love when it's a family affair. That's fantastic. Simiverse. Hi, Tim. Big fan. Just reaching out to say thanks for everything you do, to share your love for space and educating so many, even myself, and inspire me to build a KSP Apollo capsule simulator with 6 monitors in my garage. Holy crap. I'm jealous. That is awesome. That is very cool. From Alex, thank you so much. Hi, Tim. Love your content. Been with you since 2018. Hope the next launch goes better. Regards from Iceland. Ooh, I love Iceland. Thank you so much, Alex. Very much appreciate your donation. Cody Ushock says, these videos are great for the space industry and your work is much appreciated. When did you garner your first interest in the mission to space? Cody, I really like, I know this is really funny, but I think I watched, so actually at the time I watched the last space shuttle liftoff in 2011. And I remember sitting there kind of going like, I hadn't really paid attention to the space shuttle program my entire life. And I remember just seeing, news, I think it was a Gizmodo article or something. It was like, watch the last, space shuttle launch. And I was like, okay, yeah, I better watch it. I liked that as a kid or whatever. And watch it literally as soon as it took off, I kind of went, well, crap, now what? And that just kind of stayed in the back of my mind. Fast forward a little bit, I watched the movie Gravity when it came out, was like, oh, this is sad. It's, was like, all this is wrong. But I was really like excited about, the space flight again. Started paying more attention, started paying attention to what SpaceX was doing, got hired to cover a launch in 2014. That's about when I went back down to Kennedy Space Center, I think in March of 2014, to start covering CRS-3 way back in the day. That's kind of when I caught the bug and when I started going fully into it. Luminary special. Rewatch the SpaceX stream at 47 minutes. Look at the fifth guy's monitor. Yeah, you can see an engine looks like a vacuum blow up. I know. That's so crazy. That's actually nuts that you can see it in the video. I'm going to actually watch it myself at 47 minutes. I know a lot of people have kind of been clipping it on X and stuff. Is that what it was? 47. Yeah, that is. Dang. That's really too bad. That's really too bad. Big one from Lars. You did an amazing job evangelizing all of us. All of this. Keep it up. Thank you so much, Lars. Really, really, really appreciate it. That's extremely generous of you. Thank you so much, Lars. William Howard, thank you so much too. And Jennifer, watching with your family. That is awesome. Thank you for watching with your family. Again, that's what I love to see. Pledge Defense. Look at the SpaceX stream. Yeah, we have by now. Thank you, though, Pledge. I don't know if the screen, if we lost all graphics and stuff for you guys too, or if it's just on my end. Jonathan Greenlee. Let's see. Great following you through these journeys, whether it's rockets, optics, video production, or a cool tip. What's one of the coolest things you've learned in the past year? In the past year? What have I learned? Coolest thing I've watched in the past or learned in the past year? Man, I feel like there actually was something that just blew my mind recently. What was it? I think the Apollo video, I learned a few things that were just like, you got to be kidding me. I think, honestly, learning about the for me, this kind of wraps literally everything you're talking about. I think for me, the fact that the Apollo program was able to squeeze color TV using slow scan and then eventually, not slow scan at first, but then using the color sequential wheel that we talked about in the Apollo video, that blew my mind. I thought that was really clever and really cool. So yeah, I'd say that's the one. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, watch the video. We talk about the sequential color and being able to squeeze color TV on only 2 megahertz of bandwidth, less than even. Very cool. Under pressure, how will they do fuel transfer in space 0G bubbles? Well, I would suggest watching a video on YouTube or X or wherever you can find it with Don Pettit and Matthew Dominic. They did a really cool demonstration in space on the ISS about propellant transfer and the bubbles and how you can mitigate that. It's very, very cool. William Howard says, can you talk about the pogo effect, which likely caused Flight 7 to fail? Apollo had these issues as well. Yeah, so pogo would be an oscillation. Would be like it's a hammering. So it's as you compress, as you're accelerating, you can compress the propellant lines, and sometimes you might have a regulator that has to go like, oh wait, that's too much pressure, slow that down, but then that overreacts and actually starves the engine a tiny bit. We're talking about little tiny things, but you can have something where it's a feedback loop where all of a sudden now that decelerated a little bit and it did the opposite of what was happening. So it accelerates again, which then hammers the propellant back into the lines and slightly compresses it a little bit too much. And then back and forth. That would be the pogo oscillation that they heavily experienced with the J2. A lot of people think that was the F1. It was the J2 really suffered with pogo oscillation. The F1 I think had some, but it's the J2 that had failures from pogo oscillation. So I don't know if that's exactly the type of thing that happened or if it's literally just a line vibrated from resonant frequency and blew up. I'm not sure. Let's see. Let's keep going here. ODST Moody. So many companies struggle with the balance between speed and quality. Hopefully after this unfortunate accident, they will work on safety for a bit. Also, every time this happens, I launch one in KSP to make myself feel better. I kind of do the same thing. I literally was playing KSP the other day after the Starship launch because I was like, well, if they're not going to launch, I'm going to launch. After the Starship scrub. Glenn A, thank you so much. Matt Bryce, SpaceX have nailed launch vehicles, but spacecraft are new to them, and they have yet to prove they can do it. It is a bigger challenge. The Starship upper stage is a huge challenge. Crawl Space, the sound on the stream during launch was absolutely incredible. I hope you watch it back to hear it for yourself. Thank you for everything, Tim and team. Thank you so much, Crawl Space. Appreciate that. Young Jared, it shocks me that they can seem to easily catch the booster, but not get Starship last more than 2 minutes after stage separation. They have, but it shows how hard it is. Good question from MG Steve. Any idea why they wouldn't shut down the failing vac Raptors? They must have known it was failing from the video feed. Maybe they weren't observing that, but yeah, I mean, it's hard though, because once you shut down, the problem, and this is an inherent problem with these RVACs, is that they don't gimbal, they don't steer. They can do differential thrust, but if you turn one off, now all of a sudden you have a massive, because I almost think it should be the opposite. I almost think they should put a single RVAC in the middle, allow it to gimbal as much as possible, put 6 Raptor sea level Raptors around the outside. It's just not, it's not ideal. Nothing's ideal because then you're really losing performance. But how much performance are you missing? Going from 350 to 380 ISP on a few engines. Can you shut it down? I mean, I don't know. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it would have been able to maintain control because now you have 2 Raptors on the very outer perimeter pushing quite a bit. You'd have to offset that with the sea level Raptors gimbling all the way to try to maintain control. Yeah, you'd think also just the data would see that there's like a burn through in the vehicle, that it's leaking propellant. You would have thought that would have been pretty obvious. I'm surprised the computers didn't shut it down earlier. Glenn A, thank you for your membership. Marcy Braden, thank you for your membership as well. Electroid, could the RVAC failure have something to do with the extended ground static fire? Maybe, because it is very hard on those nozzles, and they do brace the nozzles so they can, fire them on at sea level. But it's definitely harder on them for sure, because you still do get flow separation. You literally get that, and that can but they're just holding the outer ring, basically the lower ring, the lip of the RVAC engine, holding onto it so it doesn't tear itself apart. But it still would be putting pressure, and maybe that will be the root cause, unfortunately. Yes, we did see that. Thank you so much, Flug. Mischief Managed, thank you so much for the great coverage. You're welcome. Simiverse, thanks for helping me build a 6-monitor real-life Apollo 11 capsule simulator that I've documented building on my channel. That's very cool, Simiverse. I'll have to check that out. That's really, really cool. Bad Geek Squad, thank you so much for 22 months of membership. Jacob H, I would love to see a Starlink constellation around Mars connected to Earth with Starlink lasers. Do you see this in the future? Again, Mars and the moon, I definitely think we will need that at some point. But don't forget, it doesn't decrease the latency. All it does is make sure there's not blackout. It can increase the bandwidth, and it can make sure there's not blackouts, but it won't decrease the latency. So there's nothing you can do about the speed of light, which is obviously what Starlink and any RF is the speed of light. But it would be able to potentially decrease blackouts and increase bandwidth, which would both be good things, though. And I would love to see a constellation around other planets. Andrew Betances, can you shout out Winston and Bria, future engineers? Yes, Winston and Bria, good luck being in the future being engineers. I fully believe in you. Fantastic. Thank you for watching. That is so cool. Stephanie Vogt became a member. Vogt became a member. Thank you so much, Stephanie. Neil Cowburn, 3rd catch from 4 attempts, and they've already made it look routine. Amazing. It is truly incredible how easy they've made the booster catch look. I thought that was going to be the harder part, to be honest. I thought that was going to be like ridiculous. They've made that look easy. Now they just got to make Starship look easy. The upper stage. Greg, thank you so much for your membership. From Exo Abiana Exo. It's crazy. It's been 8 flights now. It seems like yesterday we were doing 12.5 kilometer hops, and even crazier that you've missed every single one. That's crazy. Thank you so much, though, for saying hi and for the ongoing support. Evan Smith says, thank you for the coverage. I'm headed to the next launch. I wonder if it's going to be a longer time now. I wonder if we're going to see a bigger delay between this and other launches, simply because now we've seen 2 failures like this. I wonder if there's going to be a little bit more scrutiny and if it's going to take a little bit longer. I wouldn't be surprised if it takes 2 or 3 months now. A part of me wishes that they slow down for a minute just to really make sure they nail the next one, because they need to nail the next one. It's getting a little bit worrisome, you know. Marcy Braden, thanks so much for the great feed. If you can give a shout out to my 8-year-old James, who flew to Texas this week and it was scrubbed, so he was very disappointed, but happy to watch your feed at launch day. Oh, Marcy and James, I'm sorry that you missed it. Hopefully there's other opportunities in the future. It is a really cool thing to see in person, I'm not going to lie, but I am glad that we did get to see it launch today, and I'm glad that you tuned in today. So hopefully we'll catch you out on another launch, though, James, and hopefully you'll be able to catch that one. It is unusual that we actually had a scrub like that. So I'm sorry that you went through all that effort and then you didn't get to see it. But hopefully next time. Good question asked. They seem to be the damaging the engine section by lighting up the engines during Starship separation, isn't it? Maybe we will see. Maybe we'll see the answers to that. Either hot staging or from the extended duration test firing. Who knows? Prominent Forehead, watched you all through high school, getting an associate's in aircraft maintenance technology, and one day get a bachelor's in aerospace engineering. That's so cool, Prominent. Best of luck. That's amazing. You are our last super chat too, Prominent. I'm going to work on getting our teams out of here so they can get fed. Oh man, what a crazy! I can't believe it. I'm still bummed. That's not what I expected again. If you're still watching, though, thank you so much for sticking around. And thanks again to all the amazing supporters, all your super chats and donations and memberships and Patreon, and those of you that went to the shop. But an even bigger thank you today to our mod team, who really helped make today's conversation extra meaningful, extra on topic, and just made it more enjoyable for me as well, because I like just being able to kind of glance down, see your guys' comments, and answer a question quickly if I need to, and not just be lost in the minutia of just who knows what. So I appreciate you guys. Really appreciate you tuning into our 4K live stream. Let's give another shout out quick to our production team, to our mods and our production team, all of those down at Starbase making this happen, and those remoting in. from around the United States and around the world making this stream happen. Everyone say thank you to our live stream team. Wait, is this Mr. T again? Was that Mr. T shot, by the way? Or is that, where was that? Was that from Burrito Cam? By the way, I haven't heard anything IFB wise from you guys. So I hope that you're ready for me to sign out. And I also don't have our monitor anything coming back from you for a while. So anyway, that's going to do it for me. I love you guys. And again, thank you to our productions and our mods and all of you that watch and support. You guys are awesome. Love you guys so much. Thanks for hanging out. Hopefully we'll see you for the next one. Wish me luck on a little bit of vacation, R&R, some camping, some snowboarding, some family time. I will be doing a little bit of work and probably popping off a few streams every now and then. But you might not see me a lot online because I'm going to take a little break. I think it's a good thing. All right. Thanks, everybody. That's going to do it for me. I'm Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut, bringing space down to Earth for everyday people. Goodbye, everybody.